Okay. Welcome to the 1514th regular board meeting. Translator services. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anybody who needs translator services to Ms. Paula Valbuena at the podium.
Okay. Thank you, President Irvin. Buenas tardes, habla Paula Balbuena. Si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor llame al 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. Este es un número totalmente gratis. Nuevamente, llame al número de teléfono 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. También puede acceder a estas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web en mcs4kids.com, dirigiéndose a la parte inferior de la página, haciendo clic en Quick Links y haciendo clic nuevamente en Board Agendas para ir a la agenda de esta noche. O si no, estaré en la parte de atrás para que él desee servicios de interpretación al español. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Valbuena. Welcome to the Modesto City Schools regular board meeting of September 30th, 2024. This meeting is now called to order. A report out from closed session. Confidential report following closed session. Appeal pursuant to Board Policy Administrative Regulation 1312.1. September 30th, 2024. In closed session, the board decided to deny the request for a meeting. The vote in closed session was unanimously 7-0. And the board gave direction to staff. Roll call. Student Board Rep Dogger. Here. Student Board Rep Gupta. Trustee Brown.
Present.
Trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Lopez.
Present.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Trustee Mejia.
Present.
Vice President Maestas.
Present.
And President Irvin. Present. Yes, Student Board Rep Gupta is present. It shows you how busy our student board reps are. Balance. Let the record reflect we have a quorum. If you would now join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is open session of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district's website, and recordings will be available for viewing the day after the board meeting. Public comment. MCS has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined on the agenda. The public has been given an opportunity to call in and leave a voicemail. Send us a comment via email or appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon the day of the board meeting will not be read aloud, but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the board meeting and are available to the public. The voice and email public comments will be attached to future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we welcome your comments. Public comment statement, Board Bylaw 9322B. If you wish to address the board during the period for public comment on a subject not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card and submit it to the board president prior to the period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out a card. You will find the cards in the lobby. You can hand your comment to Ms. Chambers in the back. Back there, there's Ms. Chambers, back there in her chamber. I also want to remind you, if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district's personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby, as are agenda copies, which outline the procedures we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt the speaker from any potential liability for defamation. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out a card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. The maximum time for any one speaker is 3 minutes, for a total of 30 minutes. For those of you requesting translation services, an additional minute will be added to your comment time. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, yeah. Oh, my. Fifth grader Henry Bautista. Fifth grader Henry comes to school every day with a smile on his face, ready to take on any challenge. His willingness to help others is remarkable, and his kindness makes him an invaluable member of our community. Henry is the vice president of our student council and a member of Insulin's traffic patrol team. Away from school, he enjoys playing sports and fishing. After high school, Henry wants to be a professional athlete or engineer. Yes, you can do both. Charlie Armour. Sixth grader Charlie is known for her friendliness and dependability. She shows up every day with a smile and sits in the office and is one of the captains of the traffic patrol team. Charlie's willingness to help others and her positive attitude make her a standout student at Insulin. She likes playing soccer and skiing in her free time. After high school, Charlie wants to attend Westmont College to pursue her education to become a veterinarian. Oh, wow. Students, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join us while we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, she has.
students.
Okay, A5, Student Superintendent Noguchi.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, President Irvin. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out today and joining us for the board meeting, both in here and also at home. I am very excited about a student achievement report that we're going to have later on tonight. It's clear that after a number of challenging years, we have a pretty steady path on improving the conditions for our students, and I'm sure you're going to see and be happy, as happy as I am about the achievement and the progress moving forward. Still work to be done, but definitely some highlights there. I also want to thank, before our dancers come up, I want to thank the dancers for coming out, our folklorico dancers, and also for the adults that make it happen. We know that behind all of the success of our students, there's some adults that are making that happen. So thank you for coming out this evening and also working with our students to be able to make tonight a reality. This, of course, is in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to President Irvin. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Noguchi. Next, we have Ms. Sharakina Shams.
Thank you, President Irvin. Good evening, board trustees, members of cabinet, members of the community, families, and staff who are joining us here tonight. We have so many wonderful students and staff who we like to recognize during this, our very favorite part of the board meeting, and we have many recognitions tonight. So we want to start with first presenting our Character Education Award. We are celebrating an outstanding scholar, Mark Twain Junior High School 8th grader Esmeralda Razo Salazar, for exemplifying 4, not 1, 2, or 3, but 4 of our 9 MCS character traits, including compassion, initiative, perseverance, and respect. I understand Esmeralda could not be with us tonight, but we do have Mark Twain EL and AVID teacher, Miss Michelle Arnold Brownlee, who's going to be joined by Mark Twain Junior High Principal Francisco Guerrero, and you're going to tell us a little bit about Esmeralda. Come on up.
I can just stand by you.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry Esmeralda wasn't able to join us this evening, but I do want to read some positive things about her. I'm delighted to nominate Esmeralda for this award due to her remarkable qualities of compassion, initiative, perseverance, and respect. She consistently goes above and beyond by assisting our new Spanish-speaking students with translation needs while diligently managing her own assignments as well. Esmeralda's proactive approach, including asking insightful, clarifying questions, and her steadfast determination in overcoming challenging problems truly set her apart. Her dedication to both her peers and her responsibilities exemplifies the values and award that this award seeks. So, congratulations, Esmeralda.
For presenting that, and we will send her certificate along to the school where you can have a photo taken with her. Oh, okay. We're going to do it now.
I like a photo op.
Good.
I'm trained, so the mic goes to you, and I have to take a photo. I didn't get the memo.
Count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Did you want to get in? We have another photo bomb. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Esmeralda managed to inspire us all without even being here today. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for presenting that character recognition. Next up is our MCS Hero Award, and tonight we're honored to present our MCS Hero Award to a very deserving recipient, Mr. Jordan Crook, the head custodian at Alberta Martone Elementary School. He was enthusiastically nominated by Martone's principal, Christopher Harvey. Mr. Crook, why don't you come on up along with Mr. Harvey, who's going to tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll take a picture.
Okay, good day. So it's my honor to present, I'm going to be reading some of this, sorry, it's I didn't realize it was this long, but it's my honor to present to the MCS Year Award to a truly exceptional member of our school community, Jordan Cook. Mr. Crook consistently goes above and beyond the call of duty in his role as the head custodian and always demonstrates an unwavering commitment to cleanliness, safety, and overall well-being of our school. Whether he's responding to a spill in the cafeteria or handling restroom maintenance, Mr. Crook approaches every task with professionalism and a positive attitude, no matter how challenging or thankless the job may seem. Many times when I get on campus first thing in the morning, I just walk around and I'm just amazed at how clean our campus is. What truly inspires me and many of us at Martone is the pride Mr. Crook takes in ensuring our school is a safe environment. He is a key member of our Injury and Illness Committee and works diligently to make sure that we are fully prepared for inspections with the Fire Marshal and Mr. Aaron Castro. His attention to detail and dedication to our school's security and safety protocols are exemplary, and I cannot thank him enough for his partnership in this important work. Beyond his daily responsibilities, Mr. Crook is a strong communicator and always quick to bring concerns or maintenance issues to our attention and the office staff and administration. He makes sure that work orders are completed efficiently and coordinates seamlessly with maintenance and operation to keep our school running smoothly. We are incredibly fortunate to have someone as hardworking, reliable, and dedicated as Mr. Crook leading our custodial team. He truly exemplifies what it means to be a hero within our school community, and I'm proud to recognize him with this well-deserved honor.
Mr. Crook, as we wait to take that picture, I just want to call out your fan club in the back with the big digital sign she's holding up. Yeah. Hard not to notice that. Thank you so much. Arvine, thank you,
What did it
Mr.
say?
Crook.
Oh.
Thank you. Martone is lucky to have you. As many of you have already noticed tonight, we have not one or two, but several proclamations on our consent agenda this evening. These reflect the board's dedication to honoring and celebrating the individuals and events that enrich our community. Honestly, there's not enough we can say in a limited amount of time in this meeting about these proclamations. So I do really encourage everyone here tonight to look them up in the agenda, read them, and at your own school sites, you are encouraged to celebrate these. We are proud to recognize National Filipino American History Month. The month commemorates the first recorded arrival of Filipinos in the U.S. on October 18th, 1587, in what is now known as Morro Bay, California, and it recognized the many contributions of Filipino Americans to our country's history. Then there is the Week of the School Administrator. That's coming up from October 13th through 19th. It honors the dedication of our school administrators who provide leadership and support for many educational programs that guide us towards successful student achievement. October 14th is Indigenous Peoples Day, a day during which we celebrate the rich culture, tradition, and history and acknowledge the important contributions of America's original people. It also serves as a reminder that the land of present-day Modesto is located on the ancestral and contemporary lands of the Yokuts, without whom the building of this county would not have been possible. Also, National School Lunch Week. A lot's happening in September and October. That one happens October 14th through 18th. It honors important work and the dedication of our nutrition services professionals. Their hard work and dedication plays a vital role in ensuring our students' health and well-being. And as I introduce this last item, which is Hispanic Heritage Month, trustees and members of cabinet, I would invite you to join the audience down here with the crowd. The first row is reserved for our board trustees and the second row for members of cabinet. We are very pleased tonight to have a special tribute to Hispanic Heritage Month, and we're going to be joined by the Ballet Folclórico Los Falcones for this live performance. So to provide us with more insight into this performance is Myra Martinez a teacher at Davis High School. Come on up, Myra.
Hello, thank you very much for having us. From the Aztecs to modern day Mexico, traditional dance has served as a unifying cultural force across the states of Mexico, deeply rooted in the nation's heritage. Folklore is passed down through generations, through stories, lived experiences, and in Mexico through the vibrant traditions of danza folclórica. Each state in Mexico has its own unique dance style and variations, with both men and women participating in these dances to weave a rich tapestry of the country's myths, legends, and traditions. Tonight, we're excited to welcome Ballet Folclórico Los Falcones. The group was started by our own, now retired teacher Laura Malagon and our teacher Maria Magdalena Ruiz, with the hope of encouraging students to embrace their culture and traditions and to share it with others. They have called Fairview Elementary home since its creation 26 years ago. It consists of around 50 dancers, ranging in age from 5 to 25, who are students enrolled in Modesto City Schools and in nearby districts. During tonight's performance, Aribela, Ariana, Yuriana, and Melanie will take us on a journey to the state of Sinaloa, a celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. Sinaloa is the birthplace of banda, or Mexican big band music, which is known for its danceability, and they will be dancing to El Gallito. Y ahora a bailar. Ready? Let's go.
¡Sacúdete! Este es el gallito fino, este es el gallo jugado. Amarran a sus pollitos porque es un gallo aventado. El baile del caballito se baila muy apretado. Si bailan con el gallito hay que tenerle cuidado. Ese gallito es muy bueno, por eso lo bailan todos. Lo bailan de caballito cuando lo toca el recodo. Este es el gallito fino, este es el gallo jugado. Amarran a sus pollitas porque es un gallo aventado. Yo les digo a las pollitas que tengan mucho cuidado. Si bailan con el gallito, no bailen muy apretado. Este gallito es muy bueno, por eso lo bailan todos. Lo bailan de caballito cuando lo toca el recodo. El baile del caballito se baila muy apretado. Si bailan con el gallito hay que tenerle cuidado. Cantando se ve el gallito con rumbo para Sinaloa. Se va para Mazatlán bailando con la tambora. Este gallito es muy bueno, por eso lo bailan todos. Lo bailan de caballito cuando lo toca el recodo. ¡Rico! ¡Sacúdete! Y nos fuimos con el gallito.
Thank you. Thank you, Ballet Folclórico Los Falcones. Thank you so much. And that concludes our recognitions, President Irvin.
Thank you, Ms. Shams. Okay, A7, Board of Education reports. Do we have any reports from the board members who would like to share their report? Vice President Maestas.
Thank you. All right. Not too much to report out on, but how about those Friday night lights? Everybody got to go to a couple games, and exciting, man. The students are there cheering on the teams, even if they're losing by 50 points. But we're out there, athletes trying hard, and it's just a good time. It's a good time to go out and support the schools and the athletes. And that's just one sport that's going on. There's a ton of other sports going on too. So congratulations to the athletes and keep working hard. I was able to go to the Sonoma Elementary 50-year celebration, 50 years. And I was there, Mayor Suze Wallen was there, Associate Superintendent Godot was there, and Congressman Duarte was there, right? And so, yeah, great, we were all there, but the star of the show were the kids. The chorus group from Sonoma were there, and they led us in some songs. They sang "Happy Birthday" to the school, which was super cute. And we got to go and tour the campus, look through some old memorabilia that they had, and just see the wonderful changes that have gone on over 50 years of that school. So what a great time. A Saturday morning, there was so many people there, a lot more than I expected on a Saturday morning to go and celebrate Sonoma's 50-year anniversary. So it was great time. I wish everyone could have been there. That's it, not much. So, but I wanted to talk about that because that was awesome.
Yes, it was Trustee Marks.
Thank you, President Irvin. So I had a very busy September. I used to always tell my friend, we just could tell our husbands we will not be home in the month of September because there's so much going on. So I attended the Ethnic Studies group, and that was awesome. Trustee Irvin was online. That was really cool to have him kind of speak from a Zoom call. And so it was a great discussion, and just asking us to encourage the public to give us input on where we're going with ethnic studies, what does the public want, what are concerns or things they wish to have in it. Just let us know so we can incorporate that. And Associate Superintendent Mr. Rich did a great job on the meeting. He always runs it on time, and we start at 6, we end at 7, and it's awesome. So we all know, because we have such a variety of people from all different places coming in. So then I also went to El Vista for their ribbon cutting. First time they could have all their students in the same place, and so excited for them, especially for the winter months when it's raining. They all have a place to eat and be inside, and they can have events in there. And it was just really special to be there with all the children. And we had a special group there that was from oh my goodness, I forgot which, it was the Masons. The Masons came because they support with bicycles and different things for raffles, and so they were all there as well, and that was very special. I went to the Budget Advisory meeting, so we, just to share all our ideas. Trustee Irvin was there as well. And then I attended, I'll tell you these 2 things, and then I had 2 celebration attendants that were not in our district, so that was really fun to go to. But CalSSD, California large suburban districts. We met on Friday. Dr. Noguchi was able to go in person. I was not, but some of us met on Zoom call, went over the budget and some of the state issues that are going on. And with Governor Brown's new policy on cell phones, and non-usage of them in 2026 when it goes into effect, so had some discussion on that. Also the lawsuit, CSBA filed a lawsuit against the state on Prop 98 and concerned that our funding might be cut based on that, so they're going to try to preempt that. And then we also heard a report on graduation profiles from a whole bunch of different school districts around the state on how they encourage their students in their graduation. And the interesting thing is they talked about how many students did not, they saw this as valuable, they didn't have any absentee problems, and they told us to ask questions, and what questions are we facing in our district, and how can we answer those questions? And so it was a really good report. I enjoyed hearing that immensely. Dr. Noguchi had a lot of great comments on everything we talked about. She jumped in there. It was great. So I was appreciative of hearing what she had to say. And then I also attended the delegate assembly meeting with the delegates around this area, and they had some similar concerns about the new policy for cell phones and cell phone usage. They had parents that have already come to their board that are concerned about it. So the CSBA actually had an opposed position on this one, and on the opposed position, the reason they opposed it was because it's a mandate, and they didn't put any money with it. So CSBA will always oppose something that's a mandate because they make one size fits all, and we, as board members, they want local control, so we can choose if we want to make that kind of policy or not. So that's CSBA's, that's how CSBA looks at it. So lastly, two things. I was invited to go to the groundbreaking for Stanislaus Union's new school on Kiernan Avenue. So they are just getting ready to do what we've been doing all this year, last year and the year before. So they passed a bond last year. And so it was really exciting just to celebrate with them on and be at their ribbon cutting, or their groundbreaking. And then also, lastly, I was invited to review a Golden Bell Award in Turlock and review one of their programs for their culinary arts program. Oh my gosh, it was incredible. So just being there, they had a chef that used to be one of the students. He's a chef in a restaurant nearby. They had another chef that came in to oversee some of it. It just was phenomenal to see all the students. I know we have phenomenal programs, and so this one was because it aligned with their specific CTE, and they just asked me to come review it. So I know that ours, I looked at it and said, I know we're in the same category as this, so I hope we get a Golden Bell someday for our own culinary arts program. But it was fun to go to another district just to see what they do. So thank you so much for your time and listening to me share all that I've been at this last month.
Trustee Daly, you changed your mind? Okay. Trustee Brown.
Yes, just an echo on the El Vista event. That was an amazing opportunity. And as you could see from the pictures of that, everybody was all smiles. And it was just so fun to be there with the kids and see that they were going to be the benefactors of what we've been doing. Then, as I do monthly, attended the construction meeting, and it is so exciting every month just to review the progress that's happening at so many of our campuses with money that is that the district has been blessed with because of the generosity of our community as they've supported us in the bond efforts. And I just want to thank those that are working on behalf of Measure X in working to get information out to the public about Measure X that will be on the ballot in November. And I do want to just call out something that is on the consent agenda tonight, and that is item C9. Just want the public to be aware of the Proposition 2 and the benefits that it would provide for our district because of the efforts that are in place already with the bond projects that we have, the opportunity for us to receive matching funds and really utilize our funding to the maximum advantage of our community. So want to make sure that everyone is aware of Prop 2 and the benefits that can come to our district with their voter support. So thank you.
Trustee Mejia.
Yes, so I also have a little bit of a list. I wanted to, I went to a Vista ribbon cutting. I was able to see a mom today that she was there as well. That was pretty awesome to see her little one be like, she's moving, she has one more year there and she's moving on. So that was pretty awesome to see, from groundbreaking to the actual facility. So that was pretty incredible, the turnout, everybody, it was just all hands on. And I know folks that are working there are doing a great job with the after school program. A person I know for many years works there. I was happy to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while. And so that was pretty awesome. I was able to go to the Mexican Independence Day. I want to thank South Modesto Business United, which held it in South Modesto, which is always keeping up with our community, you know, bringing culture and doing a lot of great stuff down there. So it was awesome to go, and they gave us an opportunity to say hi and say a few words. And I recognize a lot of families from our district that were there, like the majority, I would say, that were there. And so I was able to say hi to a lot of kids and families that were present, enjoying a good time, food, and also enjoying some beautiful music that was live there. Also, I was able to speak to many community members in the last few days. So that's been pretty awesome. And also kind of bringing awareness to Measure X. That was pretty awesome, where we held lots of conversations on that. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have a few things as well. One, as Trustee Marks mentioned, the Ethnic Studies Committee, which I feel is doing some great work in there and putting forward and getting all the input that we can, and it's balanced input, which is a great thing. So thank you, Associate Superintendent Mike Rich, for those meetings that are on point, even when folks like me got more to say, but I understand. Also, I was actually the resident barbecue chef for the UBSUC, United Black Student Unions of California Central Region. They had a barbecue, a back-to-school barbecue at USTAC Park. So I got a chance to hang out with some students there, some parents, and also Antoinette was there, Ms. Chambers as well. And so it was a good day, very good day. Anytime you get to interact with students and parents. I was also at the Budget Advisory Committee meeting and also at the support for Measure X. So looking to do great things for the rest of our schools to get them innovated and renovated and whatever aided could I use? No. But you know what I mean. It's just wonderful to see the transformation in our district. So kudos to our maintenance folks, Social Superintendent Zierli and Roger Orth, and man, it's just great, just great. Looks like a whole new district. So we keep it moving, and that's all I have. Thank you. 8.8, approval of consent agenda. Are there any comments regarding consent agenda items? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda? I didn't.
I'd like to motion to remove C9 and have that voted individually.
C9?
Yes.
So, removal of, I didn't see here.
That's the school bond, yes.
Removal, C9.
I,
Yeah, I didn't see her push that in the queue. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of item C9? It's been so moved by trustee Brown. Second by, was it trustee Mejia or trustee Marks? Okay, trustee Marks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same right. Any abstentions? All right, motion carried. A9, approval of order of discussion items. Oh, yeah, that's right. Somebody gonna put for, so I see a motion for approval, or entertain a motion for approval for C9. It's been moved by,
We first have to allow trustee Daly to give voice when you pull something
Okay.
off. She needs to be able to bring voice to it.
Before that, could I ask a point of information? Should it not then go into our agenda, if we're pulling it out, unless it's a conflict of interest? Okay, so then I believe that we put it into the agenda.
So we can move C9 to discussion item B13. And we'd need a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to put C9 as item B13.
I'll second.
been properly moved and seconded that we properly moved by trustee Marks and seconded by trustee Mejia to move item C9 to B13. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? So C9 has been moved to B13. Okay. Now it brings us back to our motion on the consent order of discussion items. So do I hear a motion to approve the order of discussion items? Moved by trustee Mejia, second by trustee trustee McMarks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Yes, motion carried. Okay, period for public presentation. This takes us to the period of public presentations. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting and showing interest in our schools. I have 4 cards tonight, and I ask each speaker to come to the podium and address the board. You'll each have 3 minutes to speak. An additional minute will be added on for anyone using translation services. With that being said, I call to the podium Victor Ward.
Thank you, Board and Superintendent. My name is Victor Ward. I represent a company called Competes EDU. We are a social media platform focused on fostering competition and creativity among students. We've done work with Showtime, Michigan High School Football, EarthX, and USA Track and Field. And what we've done now is we've taken kind of everything that we've learned in media and technology, and we've created a media arts program that we think will be fantastic for the students of the Modesto City Schools, and it's perfectly aligned with Proposition 28. as you probably know, Proposition 28 reserves 1% of a school's budget to building out new arts programs. And that's where we believe Competes EDU can come in and make a huge impact. Media arts is a recognized discipline in California. And we think there's no better way to introduce students to media arts than through engaging competition. And it's not just a social media platform. We have a fully baked 36-week educational plan for students K through 12. We address everything from video production, editing, storytelling, creating a storyboard, collaboration, digital literacy, media bias. So it's a fully robust program. Obviously, there are a few steps between now and actually signing a contract, but I decided I wanted to come, and I live in San Mateo, but it was a nice drive out. So just to kind of put a name with a company and a face. And you know, I've been through school boards down in Compton and Pomona, Oakland Unified. I used to work in Oakland Unified. So I've been through and seen a lot. I will say that this school board meeting is tied with Pomona as the best. So maybe it's part of the Folka Rico. They had a dance too there. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, although we cannot engage in discussion or take formal action on items not on the agenda, we thank you for your following the protocol and addressing the board, and for taking the time to share your views with us this evening. We have next up Alejandra Villaseñor.
Hello, my name is Alejandra Villaseñor, and I'm here to speak about an incident that happened to my son at the school Bret The incident happened at school with my son. He was threatened by a group of kids wanting to jump him at school. School ended at 1:07 that day. My son did not come out till 1:25, which means in those 18 minutes, not once did the principal bother to give me a call. My son eventually came out crying out in tears. So the next day, I had a meeting. The principal did not like the tone of my voice. I apologized to her. She continued to dismiss the meeting with her. Today, Monday, September 30, 2 policemen showed up to my house to give me and my husband a warrant arrest from the principal for a 14-day period. In those 14 days, how am I supposed to take my kids to school in the period of time when I'm not allowed on school premises? Ms. Content is breaking the law by keeping us away from our children to the public school. My children have the right to go to a school that is safe and secure and peaceful. Ms. Content is trying to hush every parent that is speaking up for their kids at Bret that is speaking up by putting law enforcement to intimidate them. That's it.
That's her voice. Now there's Dad's.
Can I speak now or?
Yes.
All right, well, I don't think it's right. I mean, we should the ones. Oh, my name is Jose Flores. Alejandra is my wife. All right, and my son goes to that school. I have 2 of them. Then he's Jose Flores as well, and that's not cool. You know what I mean? That sounds like intimidation to me. The principal, Miss Continent, she should be fired for saying what policemen to our door for what? What was probable cause? That's not even right. I really didn't come up prepared, so you know what I mean. I know I have a lot of stuff to say, just like you guys too. You know, I'm a parent too. Yeah, and we don't have no sidewalks, so how are they gonna walk to school without sidewalks? There's no crosswalks either at the school. I have so much to say. It's just, I don't know, things are not getting handled. I think she needs to be fired or something. And there's more. I'm not the only parent. She shrugs. I've been to parent meetings, and she shrugs parents off like she don't even hear me. Okay, next question, like stuff like that. To like, it doesn't even make sense the way she's doing things at school. I don't like it. I mean, I know I'm not the only one. You know what I mean? I'm really angry right now too. It's so flustered, frustration. You know what I mean? It's not cool. I wouldn't want my kid to treat any other kid like that either. Or parents like, look at, she's being a bully to my wife doing that. I think. The hell? That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
What? Give me my 3 minutes.
Well, they still have 18 seconds. left, so we'll let the,
Fine. I'll just use up these last 12 seconds to say you have another dissatisfied stakeholders over at Bret Hart Elementary School, Homero, Adolfo. You guys are Hispanic leaders. You guys are running for an elective office again.
3 minutes is up. Okay, next we have up is Jose Flores Lopez.
He just went, he used her minutes, so I'll just go ahead and finish.
Okay, next up then is Miss Debbie Martinez.
Good evening, Debbie Martinez. I represent community under the umbrella of We Are La Raza Parents Union. I'm here once again to voice a very concern on Bret Hart Elementary School. What do I have to do? Take them to series? I took 5 other ones, total of almost 20 kids. Is that what I have to keep doing? Taking them to series? Because they are improving, they're excelling, and they love series. But until then, this dad right here said he's upset. Southside, boys, you guys are running for an elective. I worked hard to get you guys into those seats. When are you gonna start talking? And don't give me that local medal because you were the one that told me to get to legislation. I got there, SB 4. Huh? 19. Restorative, where is it? Bret Hart, no good. I went back to my records. I have 10 families that have voiced. I came with 5 more recently, and now here I am, current in the new school year. What am I supposed to do? Picket? Make a big old shindig out there on the south side so you guys can tell the sheriff, Jeff, what's happening? Let us call the cops on her. I'm going on record to say that she's abusing our children. She's neglecting them. No, you're not going to stop me. I got another minute.
So what I have to tell you is that
I'm going on record.
You have a right.
I'm going on record, and you're interrupting my time.
And the right to the board does not exempt you from potential liability.
So I'm speaking under my First Amendment for these families that are mandated to take their children to school, and you, not even you, the superintendent, is doing anything about it. You tell me to do grievances, and they go nowhere. My last meeting, she was gonna record me without even my permission. Under my Fourth Amendment, it was being violated. I mean, I don't know what else to do with Bret Hart other than go picket. I don't know.
Minimize the personal attacks.
Well,
Yeah.
she interrupted me.
me.
So I just want to go on record to let everybody know here on this governing board that's running for office, don't give us a promise and then leave it at the election polls. We want action done on this principal that's abusing our children, calling ICE on our families, giving restraining orders, and now calling the cops. I mean, when is enough going to be enough before I start picketing that school and doing something and I don't make idle threats? Thank you.
Sounds personal to me. Her putting a restraining order, that's pretty personal. There's 20 seconds left before I talk.
Thank you. Takes us to B1. Student representative to the board reports. So our student reps decided before the meeting that student board rep Dagger would give his report first this time. Do you have a report to make at this time?
Yes, I do. So we had the Inter-High Council meeting a few weeks ago. It was really cool to hear from each of the schools during the school reports and what each of them are up to at this point in the year. So we had a lot of talk about club rushes from each of the schools, sports like football, water polo, cross country have started up, and there's a lot of really strong school spirit that goes with that, even if they're down 50 points, as Trustee Maestas pointed out. Most schools have already started prep for HOCO, and we had a few schools like Bayer and Johansson preparing for the WASC conference. And then something really cool I heard about was the Kyoto exchange students that Gregory and Enox were both hosting and the events that they're coordinating with them. I just thought it was really cool that we have people all the way from Japan who are coming over here to Enox and Gregory to the MCS district. And then we moved on. We talked about the service project that we were trying to do this year. So we pitched a couple of different ideas. We were thinking about maybe a district-wide tobacco behavior survey, a school beautification day, boosting some middle and elementary school involvement in district leadership. So a lot of different ideas. And we have yet to fully settle until next meeting, by which we hope the members will have shared our discussion with other ASB members and advisors. And get some more student insight, which is the whole point of the Inter-High Council. Yeah. And then I was also very happy to be included in a video project made by Mrs. Solorio, our public information officer, that myself, Student Representative Gupta, and a couple other ASB leadership members around the district spoke in. So this video was in response to the very unfortunate incidents, the threats that transpired at Modesto High School. And it felt genuinely really good to be involved in speaking about something that's really that important. And not just important, but also something that's like very much something that we as students hear about a lot and that we're very much in contact with. I'd like to elaborate on it myself, but I believe we're going to be playing it up here. So yeah, that concludes my report to the board this evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
These fake threats, it really instills a lot of anxiety and fear amongst teachers, students, and parents.
Obviously, my parents were kind of afraid to send me to school because they weren't really sure about how safe it was going to be.
And I feel like it's definitely impacted our culture and our spirit on our campus.
When you're reposting and you're sharing, it's almost as if you're validating the threat.
That's not something you should joke about, even with your friends.
Why? That's just my question, is just why?
Yeah, it might be nice to get a day out of school, but you could just stay home. You don't have to threaten the entire school.
On Instagram, you can post things to your story, and on TikTok and stuff. I don't think that people should be doing that.
A student could get suspended, expelled, but they could also get arrested. And that is very damaging to their permanent record.
That stays with you for jobs, that stays with you for your career, that stays with you for anything you might do with your life.
You don't want these kind of black marks following you.
Before we post something, we should definitely take a minute and think about what our actions might be leading to.
How do your parents feel? How do your peers feel?
That you should actually report it.
Report. You should report.
To teachers, admin, or the police department.
I'd bring it up as soon as I possibly could.
There's an app in our school portal called See Something, Say Something.
It's an anonymous way to report any threats that you see.
It gets sent to all of our admin and it goes down the list until somebody responds.
Shift the responsibility to people who know how to deal with it.
Report, don't repost.
Thank you, our two celebrities. Next, we will have a report from our board student rep, Gupta. Do you have a report to make at this time?
Yes, although I doubt it's going to be as good as the video, but basically now I really feel like things are starting to feel more routine, people are getting used to the schedules and we can basically float to our classes without having to think about it. So as Ahmad said, we had our first Inter-High Council meeting on September 11th, and during which we were able to both brainstorm service projects, with which Ahmad already stated, and then we were also able to learn about the experiences from students from our district. So pretty much all the high schools have had their club rush, and they have been very successful. I know Bayer in particular said that they had theirs inside for the first time, which was something that I've never heard about before, and they said it was pretty good. And then at Downey, they held a roundup of the Knights as their first assembly, and then Elliott had their first FAST meeting. And Elliott also actually went to MJC to learn about the different opportunities that they offer, so I thought that was pretty cool as well. And then Grigori said that they discussed having a kickoff dance before homecoming, and they also talked about the success of their senior painting their parking slots activity. And then 3 of the schools said they recently hosted their very first movie night as well within the last 3 weeks. And then one commonality between all the high schools was, of course, homecoming. A lot of the schools have already prepared their dress-up days, their theme, and all the dates are set for the Hoko dance and homecoming. And the second meeting is going to be October 16th, which we will be solidifying our service project idea, of course. And then lastly, I also attended the Ethnic Studies Guidance Council meeting, and I saw Trustee Marks there, so it was really nice to provide input and learn more about the rebirth of this program, and it's really interesting to get to see these different perspectives. Okay. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I know your video there, has some great information on it. But I always thought we kind of miss one catchphrase on there. You got to see something, say something. You know, I think they should add, if you hear something, say something, because there are also rumblings out there as well. And, you know, students hear things just as well as they see things too. So see something, say something, hear something, say something, you know, and don't post it. So thank you again. B2, Modesto Teachers Association report. Mr. Peterson.
Good evening, Board President Irvin and trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, and Cabinet, Modesto community. My name is Chris Peterson, proud president of Modesto Teachers Association. I have two ideas to share with you this evening. The first, of course, is a huge thank you, a thank you that made our precinct walk possible this past weekend. Trustees, cabinet administrators, both district and site, CSEA members, retirees, and of course the members of MTA. All made our precinct walk possible this past weekend. Collectively, our combined efforts supported Measure X and our endorsed candidates. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Ballots will be delivered, mailed next Monday, October 7th in our community. Don't forget to cast your vote and support our schools. Special shout out to trustees Lopez and Mejia. Lopez has been throwing up signs with me for a couple of years now. My goodness, thank you. And of course, Board President Irving, I think we saw your entire family this past Saturday and practically a family reunion. Right. You made it possible, all of you, thank you. The educators of Modesto Teachers Association, well done. You know, after a long work week, the last thing anyone wants to do is get up on a Saturday morning and eat some breakfast and wander around aimlessly in a few neighborhoods, but collectively we can do about anything for our schools, and I thank you for that. The second issue is just as serious, but of course it's our budget committee that has been coming together, meeting quarterly, and of course the guiding principles for the 22 through 26 sunsetting COVID funds. Recognize the four principles that were agreed upon by this body about a year ago at this time, November of 2023, which you emphasize student-centered, equity and access to those programs, prioritization of core educational goals, and considered long-term investments of the policies that the board has pursued. As a community, as an association, we absorbed the board deliberate these principles last year, and you was shared with us at subsequent budget and consult meetings. Our question, I guess, would be, are there any other priorities to be considered to that list? Making, for example, cuts furthest away from the classroom, recruiting and retaining staff to deliver student services. There are others that I think we need to explore. Worries from our bargaining unit relate, and not just special to us around the state, relate to recent growth of administrative positions. Using data from 2020 to 2023, administrative positions have expanded roughly 27% within MCS. At the same time period, certificated employees of MTA have increased 8%. Student enrollment, fortunately, has increased, but at those rates, I worry that's disproportionate. Budget cuts are never easy. Every position is someone's mortgage, somebody's rent, somebody's health insurance. We all know that. This is a very heavy responsibility, but the process and the protocol is important. We have 3 board meetings scheduled. Monday, October 28th, Tuesday, special session, November 12th, and then Monday the 18th, to identify the board priorities, not just administrative recommendations, but board priorities. That is the task, and that's what we face next. Thank you.
Thank you, President Peterson. B3, California School Employees Association. I don't know what it is tonight.
Good evening. I asked Soriel to come up with me so she could be representing CSEA because I did not come prepared today. Good evening, President Irwin, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, and Cabinet. We first wanted to share out that at our last chapter meeting, we had the opportunity to have several school board candidates attend our meeting, introduce themselves and share out, or introduce themselves and then answer questions. It only went a little bit long, about an hour. And so I hesitate to offer again or invite again, but I do invite anyone who is running for school board that didn't have the opportunity to attend our last meeting to come to our next meeting on October 17th at 5 o'clock at the Downey cafeteria and take your 2 minutes to introduce yourself and then answer questions from the members during the good of the order. We had quite a discussion, a lot of questions were asked, and it helped us to get to know the candidates a little bit better. We as CSEA are not endorsing any candidates. We are leaving it to our members to make that decision for themselves, but we are very excited to have the candidates come and talk to us and share their thoughts. We also had a message presented to us by about Measure X. We were, as members, encouraged to participate, and we had a grand representation at the walk of 2 members, but we did get the message out a bit late, but Soriel was there. Do you want to take a minute to share a little bit about your experience?
Hello, board trustees, Dr. Noguchi, President Irvin, Soriel Marquin, 3rd VP for CSCA. Saturday was my first precinct I've ever done. I'd never done it before, but I was glad I did, and I was honored to be with Sherakina, which showed me the ropes on how to do things, and it was pretty fun to walk around. And I was able to, some houses there was people outside and they would ask what it was about. I was able to explain to them as being a part of the committee that I've gone to the meetings with you guys. So I was glad I had that knowledge to be able to explain what it was about and why we're doing it and how it's a benefit to our students, to our staff, and to our community to, you know, make these schools better and have a place for the students as a multi-purpose room. So it was really nice to be out there. And although it was a struggle to get up on a Saturday morning, I was there. Without a doubt, I was there. Thank you, Chris Peterson, for the hospitality of food, drinks, and tacos. I enjoyed that. It was delicious. But I was really glad that I was able to be a part of it. So I thank you guys for allowing CSA to be a part of that precinct, even though it was only 2 of us, myself and Brian that's hiding back there.
Yes, it's all right.
I've enjoyed the opportunity that I've had this year to look at the improvements in our schools that came about due to other bond measures, and look forward to further improvements. One other item that we wanted to talk about tonight is the idea of, we came up with a slogan for you, train to retain. That as we find ways to, that we need to maybe cut back or redistribute where the funds are going to the different programs, looking at the idea of retraining current employees to fulfill those spots that may increase. I know it's not something that the district is obligated to do, but the idea that we could possibly keep the current employees by retraining them to fill positions that we are going to keep. And so, train to retain. We did also notice that in the contracting out that is done by the district, there are currently speech language pathologists, deaf, hard, and hearing interpreters, medical procedure specialists, and transportation. I know there is program in the works to bring the special ed transportation in-house. We're wanting and encouraging the thought of bringing these others back in-house if at all possible. I know hiring it's hard to get employees to fill those positions, to hire people to fill those positions. But if we can look at training from within and maybe eliminating the contracting out costs by retraining our current employees. Thank you. Okay, and I didn't introduce myself, sorry. Fawn Peterson, Chapter President, Modesto 007. Thank you.
Thank you, President Peterson and Vice President Soriel. Next, we have B4, public hearing and approval of resolution number 2425-14 that Modesto City Schools provides each pupil at the TK-12 transitional site sufficient textbooks and/or instructional materials. And we have Dr. Sarah Olson.
Good evening. Good evening, President Irvin, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, and Cabinet. Education Code 60119 requires that the Board of Education shall hold a public hearing and shall make a determination through a resolution as to whether each pupil in each school in the district has sufficient textbooks or instructional materials, or both, in each subject area that is consistent with the content and cycles of the curriculum framework adopted by the State Board. This must be accomplished prior to the end of the 8th week of school. The district has provided each pupil in the district at a TK-12 traditional site with a standards-aligned textbook or basic instructional materials in each of the following areas: history, social science, mathematics, reading, language arts, science, world language in grades 7 through 12, health in grades 8 through 12, and laboratory science equipment in grades 9 through 12. All 6 sites that were visited by Williams Act review teams passed their sufficiency checks without any findings reported. All other sites have reported that they have provided pupils with sufficient textbooks and/or instructional materials. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve resolution number 2425-14 that Modesto City Schools provides each pupil at TK-12 traditional sites sufficient textbooks and/or instructional materials.
Thank you. We will now close the regular open board meeting. And we will now open the public hearing of agenda item B4 and hand it over to Dr. Olson. Oh, no. I was looking at it says Dr. Olson's presentation after that. So I thought it was going to be a video presentation. So we will now open the public hearing. Are there any questions from the public on this agenda item? Please come to the podium and address the members of the board. Repeat for each speaker. Thank you. All right. Are there any comments and questions from the board? We will now close the public hearing and convene the regular board meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve resolution number 2425-14? Been properly moved by Trustee Lopez and seconded by Trustee Marks. Are there any calls for the questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed have the same right. Any abstentions? Motion passed unanimously. Report on instructional core. We will have Associate Superintendent Mike Rich come to the podium. Oh, sorry. I forgot you got to.
Can I do it from right here? Is that okay? All right. I'm really excited to be here tonight, President, board members, cabinet, to talk about this really critical work, the instructional core. So we've looked at this a little bit. We're going to talk about some roadmaps tonight. As we do that, we're also going to talk about kind of the committee, the advisory teams we put together to make this happen, present those roadmaps, and then kind of share how that relates to our professional development and address some next steps. Now, paramount to I have to say, all the work we do in this district is about how we're preparing kids for what comes next. And that is about what's happening mainly in the classroom. So as we look at this today, or this tonight, the instructional core relates directly to the mission of preparing all kids to contribute and thrive to society, as well as our first two goals about how we provide academic achievement, equitable access to all of our students, as well as ensuring that every employee in the district has an opportunity for high-quality professional development. That's really pivotal to what we talk about here for the instructional core. So the work we did with the instructional advisory teams, there are two teams. We have one team for our TK6 group, and several of those members were here tonight, maybe some of them holding up electronic signs, and as well as our 712 group. Our 712 group actually began this conversation a year before our TK6 group. And the goal of these groups are these three items here. They're going to collaborate as teachers and administrators. We have instructional coaches, classroom teachers, administrators in the room, and identify how do we build a system to support the instructional core. Second, how do we build that capacity among all of our team, whether they're in the classroom or in a supportive role, to implement that? And then how do we build a 3-year plan to make that work? We found that as we came out of, I guess, the disease that shall not be named, that we kind of lost some focus as we turned into survival mode. So we needed to redirect our instructional efforts in a really systematic way. That was the impetus of why we have these instructional advisory teams. So you'll find it at your desk. You should find 2 copies of the instructional core, and you'll notice the front side is the same. And you have seen this in previous presentations. It's the back side that we'll be talking about tonight. And the reason you have 2 copies is you'll notice at the top, one of them is for our pre-K6 instructional core roadmap, and one of them is for 712. So we'll look at the 712 first. The idea, again, the goal was put together a 3-year plan where we have, I would like to say in education, we have lots of things that are good. And we have lots of things that are better than good. And we have lots of things that are great. So we need to look at good or best. We need to look at good, better, best. What's the best thing we can do to focus our effort on instruction? So for our 712 group, they developed this plan. You'll see that the first year actually was last year for them. They have 3 areas that they're going to address. The driving force, remember, for the instructional core is how does that PLC team, that collaborative group, work together to build instruction that helps kids learn, right? So the last year they focused on building their PLC team goals, their norms, making sure that they were using the curriculum to fidelity, looking at PLC question 1, which really has to do with prioritizing standards, determining what we want kids to learn. Then what we affectionately call PLC question 1A, how will we teach that standard? And then even more important, there's always change in a PLC group. How do they build this system to support a new member that might come on the next year and not have to redo this work every year? That was last year's work. This year, you'll see they moved on to PLC question 2, using some formative assessments to identify knowing what the kids learned, using rubrics to identify and help kids learn how they can best progress in that knowledge, deeper dive into the curriculum, using some common instructional strategies to make sure all students have access through language to make sure they're progressing. So again, common and formative assessments. And then how do we adjust that instructional plan based on the outcome of PLC question 2? What did they learn? And then how do we adjust that? That's this year's focus. Next year, you'll see they'll go into PLC questions 3 and 4. We'll look at lesson design. We'll look at deeper dives even more into the curriculum. How are we using data to really inform our instruction? Looking upon how we address grading in the classroom to ensure that we're looking at mastery. And then how do we build interventions to support all of our learners? And you might think, well, all this is great. We should all do this every year. We should just make this happen. The problem is we've got to give a focus to it. If we try to do everything, we won't be able to hit anything. So the idea of building this roadmap is to keep us on point. Everyone knows where we're at. We all know what instruction or what PD we're gonna receive. You'll see now if we switch to the next one, the TK6 or the pre-K6 roadmap, that started this year. And there's a little bit different structure. You'll see they have the same topics year over year, and it's just a progression in each of those areas after each year. So you'll still see the PLC question 1, 2, 3, and 4, kind of that same progression. You'll see the use of data. How do we learn our student analytics dashboard? How do we use that in our PLC teams? How do we really dive deep into that to provide interventions for students? You'll see how we look at the curriculum. How do we refine ELA and math curriculum to make sure we're reaching the level of rigor we need to reach? All the way down to, as we get into the third year, how do we incorporate science and social science? How do we make sure that those are happening along with our literacy goals? You'll see professional development, making sure we're on point and focused, not just for that year, but supporting the previous year so that we're not going backwards on the roadmap, as well as providing some SEL resources and routines and practices to help the teachers in the classroom really promote best practices. This year, for our professional development at the beginning of the year, every teacher received instruction. We took away a little bit of the choice per the recommendations from the instructional advisory team and really focused in on these areas. We've gotten some good feedback in regards to their PLC teams all hearing and learning the same thing, being able to work together and collaboratively build these resources, that they appreciated that. We're working on coaching administrators and how do we help support professional learning communities. And then the courses that we offer for our PD initiative all align with this instructional core roadmap. There's always going to be a detour in a roadmap, right? I've never driven somewhere and gone straight there without stopping somewhere, checking in, getting gas, getting a little snack for the kids. At some point on the roadmap, we need to make adjustments. How are we doing? So we actually had our very first this year's instructional core meeting last week for TK6. We have our 7-12 on Wednesday. That's what they're doing. They're looking at where are we at? What do we need to do to adjust? What's working in the classroom? What can we do to better support instruction in the classroom? So that's really the goal of the committees ongoing. And that's it. We're really excited about this work. And I think what you're going to see here at the next presentation in regards to our student achievement, we feel a lot of that is a direct result of this focus on instruction and instructional core. So President Irvin, I turn the time back over to you.
Thank you. We have B6, and our speaker is Superintendent Noguchi. Oh,
you let me off easy. That was great.
Yeah. Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Vice President Maestas.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. You're smiling at me like you were waiting for me to say something.
I would be disappointed if you did not say something on this agenda item. Like, this is your jam, so I would anticipate that.
This is my jam, and I'm coming off of a 4-day conference, so yeah, I've got to ask questions and say my thoughts. I really appreciate the roadmap and the clarity that this gives all of us, all the staff, the people involved in the education of our kids, especially thinking about where we were and how we get back on track and then move forward. So I appreciate all the colors. It's helpful. I do have one question, and this is more of a statement than a question. And this is the 7-12 mainly, I think, the 7-12. When we talk about curriculum, so it says fidelity to the adopted curriculum. I love the idea. Okay, no, I scratch that. One of the things that I'm learning about curriculum is that no curriculum is perfect. I didn't really learn that yesterday. It's like 25 years of learning that, right? But this issue with fidelity and what we're moving towards integrity. The integrity through a curriculum rather than fidelity to a curriculum. I was at a session at the conference, and one of the presenters said something that really stuck with me, and He said, you know, our job as teachers is to teach the standards, not the curriculum. Now, I kind of agree with that, kind of, and this is where I'm going to go to. I agree with that only in the sense that our curriculum is our foundation to help us teach the standards. And sometimes we need to make decisions as professionals on how to make that happen the best way to get to those standards. So I just wonder, as we move forward in thinking about the difference between integrity and fidelity, I think integrity gives teachers a little bit more professionalism than fidelity does. And so just a thought as you're meeting with the groups and thinking about ways to modify and grow on the roadmap. I'm thinking about the difference between integrity and fidelity and how we are really supporting our students and also supporting our teachers and making those really fine decisions as it comes down to hitting the standards, especially, and this is a mathematics thing, but as we go towards meeting the new framework. So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't really have a question. It's just a thought.
Noted.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you bet.
Trustee Marks.
Thank you. So I had a question. Can you tell me just what does a professional learning community look like? And are the instructional advisory teams part of that, or is it MTSS? What is?
That have a common, usually a common course that they teach. And their goal is to work together collaboratively to identify what do we want kids to know, how do we know if they learned it, what do we do if they didn't learn it, and what do we do if they did learn it. That's their goal. Those are what we call the 4 PLC questions. So what we want to do with the instructional core is empower those PLC groups to really be able to identify what are the standards they should be teaching. What are some ways, some rubrics, some common formative assessments that help you know if they learned it? What are some interventions or ways that we can create if they didn't learn it? And if they were successful, what are ways we can help them show even a deeper rigor of understanding? So that's the PLC, and then that's their work moving forward.
Okay, so now tell me, that was great. That gave me a really good understanding of what that community would look like. So tell me now, who are they assigned to a group, or do they choose to be in a group, or how does that work? And then is everybody in a group in their? Okay.
Good question. I'll start with the last one. Yes,
Okay.
Everyone's in a group.
Okay.
2, how are they in that group? It's basically based on their assignment. Okay. So if you're a 3rd grade teacher, you're in the 3rd grade PLC group for your school. If you're an AP calculus teacher, that's going to be a tough one. There's only one of those at a school site. Okay. So you'll probably teach another topic and you're going to be in that PLC, but we might help facilitate across school sites an opportunity for some assignments to meet with their peers that teach that, maybe what we'd call a singleton class. So yes, everyone's in one, and it's basically based on your teaching assignment.
Okay, that's good. And then I've heard of school districts, because I've had opportunities to visit some other schools at different times, where they helped one another. So let's say I'm a 3rd grade teacher and the 2nd grade class is learning something, and they realize when they get to 3rd grade, there's something missing. We need to go talk to the 2nd grade teachers, or you have them very well prepared for this. Now I don't have to teach this. I can move forward with something else. And so I know they talked about that with one another. So do we do any of that, or is that just something unique to certain schools?
Yes, that would be encouraged.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, thanks. Because I had a friend who was a school teacher, and she was a chemistry teacher in another district, and this was obviously in high school, and she taught IB, but she would help, she would just ask for information on certain students because she said, hey, this student's struggling. Did they struggle in your class with the same thing? Okay, now I know where to start with this student because that's something that they just didn't get last year, and I need to be the teacher to give it to them.
That's a great example of how we want teams to use data to inform their practices. So we have this student analytics dashboard that will track students and their progress across standards.
Yes.
And that's exactly what we want them to be able to do with that.
Okay. All right. Well, this is good because I wanted to understand this better, so thank you for all that information. And I apologize for asking so many questions to try to get to the understanding for myself. So thank you so much, Mr. Rich.
Trustee Brown.
I apologize. I should probably know the answer to this question, but you see I'm wearing my glasses. I'm too tired to wear my contacts tonight, so things aren't sticking like they normally would. What are the 4 questions? I see them referenced in the material, but I don't know what those
That's
questions
okay.
are.
So the 4 questions are, what do we want kids to learn? And that has to go with what Maestros was Vice President Maestros was talking about, like the standards. What do we want them to learn? Question 2 is, how do we know they learned it? So that's what we would use rubrics or mastery-based grading or common formative assessments for. Number 3 is, what do we do if they don't learn it? That's how do we build in interventions or supports or spiral the learning to make sure they get it. Both of those are requisite upon using data and knowing, where we're at. And the 4th question is, what do we do if they did learn it? And that's where we really hope to get. And that would be a cycle. They would constantly be asking that about whatever standard they were teaching.
So can I just suggest that those 4 questions be obvious and printed on any reference to what the question is from year to year?
Yeah, we could do that. There are posters around there. This is a pivotal work that we've done for a lot of times with our teachers, but I see from a public standpoint, being able to do those, we will absolutely make sure that happens.
Thank you.
Any no more questions? So are there any other comments? None? So are there any comments, questions from the board? We just went through that. And so we're going to B6. Report on student achievement. Dr. Noguchi.
Wonderful, and I'm going to just frame this presentation, and you'll notice the first 2 rows out here in the audience. We've had a number of folks that are going to be coming presenting. This is going to be a pretty long presentation because it has a lot of student data. But I wanted to start by framing this particular report. Usually you see in November because we wait to November to have certified data. But what we have learned, because we have such a phenomenal data system, is that we can predict pretty much exactly what the state is going to tell us in November, and it's much better to have this data at the front end of the year as opposed to the middle of the year when you do an autopsy on it, if you will. What I can say is this report, I'm very proud of many of the data points in this presentation, and it's always great to start a new school year recognizing the teachers and the staff and the students and the administrators for all their hard work, because this was the year, it actually was a breakthrough year. Last year was a breakthrough year relative to the data that we're going to be presenting. And I truly believe that is a result of all the folks that I just mentioned, in addition to the folks in this room and the folks around the table, but also is our deep focus on the instructional core. And that was why I wanted you to have the report prior to this. How did we get this achievement? How did we get the increases? It's focusing in on instruction for different student groups, really looking at interventions and doing the wraparound services to ensure there's support. What I can say is there's still a lot of work to do. While yes, we made gains, we still have a lot of work to do ahead of us, specifically in the area of mathematics in secondary and in suspensions at junior high. You will see we made great gains in mathematics. In elementary, double-digit growth is what I asked for our elementary and our high schools in junior highs last year. We do have a plan moving forward. We do believe this will be the first year that we're going to be seeing the results of co-teaching come through, because remember, we only test in 11th grade one time, so it's just one assessment, and we do believe that we will see some of that good work come to fruition. As far as suspension, we do have some strategies for that. Although we made great gains, and you're going to see some double-digit gains in suspensions for some student groups, there's still work to be done to junior high. So what are we doing in junior high? And really focusing on an anti-bullying campaign, which we're garnering our educational partners and student voice to make this come to life. And you'll hear a little bit about that today. It's not a report on those, but you'll hear that while we have work to do, we have a targeted plan for each of those particular areas. The last thing that I want to share is, well, actually I did, just the data isn't certified yet, just for the California Department of Education, so the SBAC data isn't certified yet, but I'd bet a paycheck it's going to be right there, pretty much exact. We will report it out again. I think the B would report out probably a month from now, so it should be very similar to what you see. So with that, look forward to this report. I look forward to the questions that you all are going to have and the comments that you all are going to have at the end of this. And I'm going to turn it over to Nathan Shar to kick us off.
Well, good evening, President Irvin, trustees, Dr. Noguchi, cabinet, members of the community. We are very excited about this presentation. We got a lot of fantastic data to share with everybody. The purpose of our presentation, just to specifically report on the student achievement data from the 2023-24 school year, as well as the next steps that we plan on doing going into this next school year. So during this presentation, we'll show how our students are getting the needed skills, knowledge, and character traits by reporting on the CASP, advanced placement, attendance, and suspension data. We'll also show you how we're monitoring our students' graduation status and their college career readiness, which directly correlates with how they will contribute to our society, as our vision states. Now, the information you hear tonight will also directly align with goal number 1, which is increase and maintain academic achievement and equitable access and enable all students to attain college or career readiness. So before we get started with the actual data, we do want to recognize some celebrations from last year. Number 1, we need to celebrate you. Our school board was recognized as the School Board of the Year by AXA last year, so congratulations to you. We have a few amazing accomplishments in sustainability, which got us multiple awards this last year. First of which was the CDE Green Ribbon School District, the EPA Energy Star Award, and the Sustainable Facilities Forum Leadership Award. So great efforts are going around all over the district. Also, 3 of our high schools had major accomplishments this past school year. First of which was Elliott, who earned the CDE Model Continuation School distinction. Next, we had Grigori High School, which was got the actual Distinguished School Award. And last but not least, Modesto High once again got the National Avid Demonstration School, which is an amazing accomplishment for everyone. Now, I will have the honor of turning the presentation over to Senior Director Ernesto Calderon.
All right, good evening. So last year, Dr. Noguchi challenged our district to shift from a focus on academic growth to a pursuit of academic excellence, recognizing that it is our moral responsibility to not just grow, but to set the standard of excellence. We are pleased to share that in conjunction with certificated staff, classified staff, site administrators, district administrators, and in collaboration with parents and our education partners, we've embraced this challenge and made meaningful action. As we review the student achievement data today, you will clearly see evidence of our district making significant strides towards achieving academic excellence. So tonight, we will highlight how our divisions are working collaboratively to advance our shared commitment to excellence. You will hear updates on student achievement focusing on key indicators, including college and career readiness, preliminary graduation and dropout rates, advanced placement success rates, district progress on the CASP in grades 3 through 8 and 11, attendance and suspension data, and our progress towards English learner reclassification. To begin, I'd like to introduce Mr. Tony Lomeli, Senior Director of Student Support Services, to present on our first indicator.
Hello, this slide represents college and career indicators. As you see by the data in our dashboard, we have some room to grow, but I just want to explain a little bit about our college and career indicator. Our indicator demonstrates our post-secondary education preparedness along with our preparedness for careers after high school. This data represents the 22-23 school year. While I recognize that 31% prepared as a district is not where we want to be, we are confident with the work that we've done over this past year in the 23-24 school year and in this current year that we will see growth based on those numbers. We are excited about the steps that were taken in this past year. As you recall, I did a presentation focused on college and career platforms, school links, In that presentation, we talked about four-year course planning. In the past year, we were excited by the work that was completed by not only our classified staff at the secondary level, but our counselors in getting 97% of our students with a four-year course plan that focus on the indicator, which are getting kids ready for college, all right, meeting A through G requirements, or getting enrolled in college courses or completing CTE capstones. In addition, we're excited about 77.2% of our students passing college credits this past year with a C- or higher in our classes, which was great work done. In addition, we have a partnership with UC Merced and other schools throughout the state to create an academic pathway for their students that, when satisfied, the student is guaranteed admission to UC Merced. Our current seniors who met UC requirements in the spring or were on pace to meet requirements had the opportunity to apply for the MAP program, which is our UC Merced Automatic Admissions Program. We were happy to report that 275 of our current seniors took advantage of this opportunity and submitted an application in the spring, which shows a growth of over 123 students from the past year. We recognize that while some schools had tremendous growth, we will ensure supports are put in place that all schools grow in the next year. All 275 of these students will have the opportunity this fall to fill out a UC application and have the opportunity, if they still meet UC requirements, to be automatically admitted to UC Merced. In addition, there's an opportunity for scholarships opportunities offered through the MAP program. So if they did fill out the spring application, not only will they have an opportunity to be automatically admitted, but also be eligible for scholarships throughout their 4 years at UC Merced. Now I would like to turn it over to Amanda Schroyer, Senior Director of School Leadership, to share additional information.
Hey, good evening. It's my pleasure to present the preliminary, the preliminary graduation and dropout data for the 2024 cohort. This graph demonstrates a positive upward trend in graduation rates over the past several years. Although there was a slight dip to 89.9 in 2023, we have seen a strong recovery with the rate rising to 91.1% in 2024. This 1.1 increase in the current year highlights the effectiveness of our targeted interventions. Notably, our current graduation rate surpasses the California state average of 89.9%, reflecting our district's commitment to student success. Graduation is a critical first step towards college and career readiness, and this success reflects the hard work and dedication of our high school teachers, counselors, and administrators. This next graph provides a multi-year comparison of graduation rates by student group, highlighting trends across African American, Hispanic Latino, white, English learners, and students with disability populations. A key highlight from this year's data is the significant 6.7% increase in graduation rates of our African American students. We also see continued improvement for Hispanic Latino students, alongside promising upward trends for English learners and students with disabilities, two groups that have historically faced greater challenges. These gains can be attributed to our increased focus on inclusionary practices, which ensure that students with diverse needs have access to high-quality instruction and the necessary supports in the general education setting. Next, we'd like to go over our dropout rates. This graph illustrates a clear and significant downward trend in the dropout rates over the past several years. Starting at 7.7% in 2018, we have steadily reduced dropout rates, reaching an impressive low of 1.8% in 2024. This year's dropout rate represents a substantial decline from last year's 4.1%, marking one of the most significant reductions in recent years. Notably, our dropout rate is now more than 4% lower than the state average, showcasing the effectiveness of our strategies. The success is due to the consistent and effective monitoring of student cohorts by our classified staff, counseling teams, and site administrators, who in partnership with district office have been instrumental in identifying and supporting students that are at risk through our GRIT, or Graduation Intervention Team process. The GRIT process provides targeted interventions, ensuring that each student at risk at dropping out receives a personalized support. Through early identification, counseling support, and re-engagement strategies, we are keeping more students on track towards graduation. So this next graph shows a multi-year comparison of dropout rates by student group, highlighting significant progress in the 2024 school year. Across all student groups, there has been a noticeable reduction in dropout rates. In particular, the African American, Hispanic, Latino, and students with disabilities who have historically seen higher dropout rates, have experienced substantial declines this year. Once again, this reflects the success of our district-wide efforts to provide targeted interventions and support through our GRIT process. The results are clear. Each student group has shown marked improvement, demonstrating our commitment to equity and ensuring that every student has the opportunity to succeed. The next data I'd like to share on student achievement is our AP participation. This year marks a significant milestone in AP participation for our district, achieving a three-year high in both the number of AP exams taken and the number of students participating. The total number of AP exams taken has increased by over 20%, and the number of unduplicated students taking AP exams has increased by 14%. This growth shows our commitment to offering challenging academic courses and preparing students for college and career. Notably, Modesto City Schools covers the cost of the exams, ensuring that financial barriers do not hinder our students from taking advantage of these valuable opportunities. This year has also seen a significant increase in the number of AP exams passed. So not only are our students taking more AP exams, but they're passing it at a higher rate as well. We see a remarkable 36.4% increasing to 667 exams year over year. Along with this, the overall pass rate has improved by 7%. This improvement is a clear reflection of the quality instruction by our teachers and the dedicated support systems in place to help students succeed in these rigorous courses. This next table shows the AP exam performance of various student groups, detailing the number of exams passed and the pass rate for the 2024 school year. It shows significant improvements for our African American, Hispanic, and Hispanic Latino students. African American students saw a notable increase with 41 more exams passed and a 17% rise in pass rate. Hispanic Latino students experienced the largest gains with 316 additional exams passed and a 7% increase in pass rate. These improvements reflect the district's commitment to equity and targeted support, ensuring that more students from these groups are excelling in our AP coursework and preparing for future success. At this time, I'd like to introduce Senior Director, CIPD, Lori Hewlin.
All right, we're going to take just a moment and talk a little bit about elementary, where we set the foundation for the success of our students as they progress through school. Looking at our elementary English language arts CASP data, grades 3 through 8, we see significant amount of green, indicating positive growth. Across the top, the numbers represent the district as a whole, with all grades showing growth. We also saw an increase in our student groups in both EL and students with disabilities. When we look at the table that's divided by grade level, all schools listed made an increase in the percent of students scoring proficient or advanced. The schools that are in black made 4% to 9% growth, and the schools listed in green made 10% growth or more. We made increases, and we are very proud of the work that has been done to accomplish this growth. Moving to math CASP data, for our elementary schools, we again see many positive data points. As a reminder, the data across the top is district data, and the table represents individual school sites. Our district data shows growth across most grade levels. We also see growth for our English learners and our students with disabilities. The table shows the schools at each grade level that demonstrated growth, and just like the ELA slide, schools listed in black increased 4 to 9%, and schools listed in green had growth at or above 10%. We are encouraged by this data and the work that it represents. We also know that there is more work to be done. We began the year with every elementary teacher participating in professional learning, focusing on increasing the level of rigor in mathematics, working in procedural and conceptual areas. We anticipate this increase in rigor will result in further positive outcomes. And now Dr. Olson will talk about high school CASP.
We'll now take a look at our high school CASP data. We saw some very positive growth in both English language arts and math. As a reminder, as Dr. Noguchi mentioned earlier, the high school CASP assessment is administered to students in 11th grade. Through strategic support focused on the implementation of the instructional core and framework for learning roadmap for students, teachers, and classified staff, we are supporting achievement for all of our learners across the district in all grade levels. There is still work to be done, but we are encouraged by the progress that has been made over the past year. We will begin with English language arts. While there is still work to be done, we did have significant growth at our schools. 4 high schools demonstrated growth. Both Johansen High School and Downey High School had double-digit growth of 14% over the previous year, while Davis High School and Enox High School showed growth of 6% and 4% respectively. Last year, intentional supports were implemented at Johansen and Downey High Schools. Johansen implemented an MTSS support period in their daily schedule, while Downey implemented the A through G task force. Looking at the overall scores of the English language arts and student group data for the district, we see that we had 4% growth overall. Our English learners demonstrated a growth of 2% over last year, and our students with disabilities had a significant increase of 7.7% from the previous year. These data points are also areas to be celebrated. Growth for both of these student groups is a reflection of the hard work and dedication of our teachers and classified staff and the partnerships they have with parents to support student achievement. While we celebrate the work in ELA, we also recognize that there are concerns with secondary math. Having noted this, we had 6 high schools that demonstrated growth from the previous year. Downey High School had an increase of 4%, and Enox High School had an increase of 6.1% from the previous year. Davis High School, Johansen High School, Modesto High, and Elliott also showed growth from last year. We are encouraged by our co-teaching model. This year, the first group of students who participated in the co-teaching model will take the CASP, and we look forward to their success. Looking at the math overall scores and student group data for the district, we see that as a district, we had 1.7% growth overall. Our English learners demonstrated a growth of 1%, and our students with disabilities had an increase of 2% from the previous year. While we see growth in the student group data, we know this is an area that we can do better. We continue the work of supporting our students, teachers, and classified staff to increase the rigor in instruction through the alignment and implementation of the instructional core and the framework for learning roadmap. We will now hear from David Hauk, Senior Director of Child Welfare and Attendance.
Good evening. I'll be speaking about attendance and suspensions this evening. The attendance rate for the district shows steady improvement when compared to the previous year. Similarly, we see improvements among our student groups when compared to the prior year. Chronic absenteeism also shows decreases both overall and within our student groups. We're pleased to see the improvements and remain focused on attendance this year through the MCS attendance campaign. As you can see, we saw a growth at the elementary level, TK6 of 2.3%. Or 2.13%, 7-8, 1.49, and 9-12, plus 1.2. We have some schools with tremendous growth. Franklin was our largest grower this year at 96%. Most improved schools were Franklin, Elliott, which is huge for those of you that are familiar with Elliott's attendance, Fairview, Loma, Johansen, and Hanshaw. And those increases at the junior high level are hard-earned. We'll talk a little bit about how that can be affected with suspension rate. The suspension rate for school year is calculated by counting the number of students who were suspended at least once and then dividing that number by the total number of students enrolled. The suspension rate for the district continues to show improvement when compared to the previous year and historic records. These improvements are seen across all student groups. MCS will continue to focus on providing interventions and supports to students to maintain a safe learning environment. We're particularly excited this year about a new program that was spoken about a little bit earlier. I lost it. Oh, Be the Change, excuse me. We anticipate lower suspension rates with this student-led effort, and it is our hope that through this effort, students will not only see the detriment of their actions, but assist others in correcting those actions. You can see our suspension rate are at TK6. We are down 0.32, but the overall is still a very low 2.1%. At the 7-8 level, there is some work to do. We did have a big decrease at 1.57%, but we're still significantly higher in that group at 9.66. At the 9-12 level, again, a good decrease at 1.14%, but overall 4.52. Discipline highlights: most improved last year, Mark Twain. Orville Wright had a big decrease at 3.85, and our elementary school for our AA group had a decrease of 0.57, and our high school AA group at minus 4.32. We still see a significantly higher suspension rate within our African American group, and we're hoping that that work with myself and Mr. William Patterson will assist that in modifying. Next is Director 2, English Learner Services, Ms. Maricela Mota.
Okay, next we will be looking at reclassification numbers, which in my opinion is one of my favorite ones, but I'm a little biased. About a year ago, Dr. Noguchi challenged us to increase our reclassification numbers. Actually, she told us to double them, is what she told us. As shown in the screen, MCS nearly doubled the number of English learners that reclassified from the previous year. This impact is important because as a student group, we know that reclassified students tend to do better as a student group. So reclassified students tend to perform better in their test scores, graduation rates, and completion of college and prep courses. So I just want you to know the impact of reclassification. Just a side note, thank you to the students that worked hard to accomplish the goal of being reclassified. It's not an easy goal for students to accomplish. They have to meet rigorous criteria, some through the state, some local. And also we want to thank the parents, the teachers, and administrators that support them along the way, because it's not one person alone, it's a system working together to improve the outcomes for our students, and particularly in our English learners today. So next, it's probably my second favorite, is State Seal by Literacy. So we had about 50 more students that earned the seal on their diploma. This is for seniors that earn it. Although most recipients earn the seal for Spanish, some earned the seal in French, Farsi, and Filipino. And I really want to thank the World Language Department because they play a major part for increasing the numbers. The teachers had to score a lot of the oral, so we really thank them for that effort. Next is Senior Director of School Leadership, Amanda Schroyer. She will discuss next steps.
Okay. The 2023-2024 school year has been filled with celebrations of student success in many different areas. This success reflects the dedication of our teachers, our counselors, classified staff, students, and administrators. As we look ahead to the 2024-2025 school year, our commitment to academic excellence remains at the forefront. To build on our momentum, our next steps will include the following. Just as we heard from Mr. Rich, rooted in the MCS instructional core roadmaps, we will enhance rigor and instructional practices to elevate student achievement. Our focus on academic excellence prioritizes high expectations, increased rigor, fostering students' critical thinking skills to support their college and career readiness. In our effort to prepare students for their futures, we are expanding the implementation of school links to junior high levels and enhancing access to early college and dual enrollment opportunities during the school day. We also commit to strengthening inclusionary practices, aiming to eliminate barriers to learning. Our goal is to ensure that all students, those with disabilities, English language learners, and those from historically marginalized student groups, have the support and resources they need to succeed. Attention to student discipline at the junior high level will be a key focus. We will explore successful practices from various sites and bolster our efforts in positive behavior interventions and supports, restorative practices, and necessary resources to reduce suspensions. While we have seen notable gains in English language arts, mainly in high schools, we recognize that mathematics continues to present challenges for our students. This will remain a priority across all levels, with our first cohort in the co-teaching algebra course now entering into their junior year. We are optimistic about achieving improved results in this area. Finally, we recognize the vital role that parents play in our educational community. We will continue to engage parents as partners in the learning process. This will be facilitated through the exceptional work of Mady Herrera and the Parent Engagement and Outreach Division, as well as our site-based initiatives aimed at creating welcoming and supportive environments for families and for parents. This concludes our report on student achievement at this time. President Irvin, I will turn the presentation back to you.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? President Peterson.
Fawn Peterson. I'm using a technique that I've been taught by Modesto City Schools of I noticed and I wonder. And so since I can't ask the questions, I'm hoping somebody else will. I noticed that Davis and Johansson were significantly lower in graduation rates. This is dear to my heart because my children went to Davis High School. I wonder if this will be a point of focus in the upcoming years. There was I didn't quite catch anything that was specifically pointed towards that. And I wonder what is going to be done. I noticed a significant decline in the number of students from Grigori taking advantage of the MAP program. And I wonder if this is due to changing the supports that are offered at Grigori, or if it's because the Grigori students have just other places they're looking at going to college. Because that was quite a dramatic change in the number of students from last year to the previous year. I wonder if the district paying for the AP tests for all AP students, I believe, is the reason for the increase in the number of tests and the new unique testers. And I also wonder, because I noticed, the dramatic increase in RFAP's reclassifications. I wonder how that was accomplished. What tools were implemented that gave us that dramatic increase? Thanks.
Thank you. Well, are there any comments or questions from the board? Vice President Maestas.
I love the notice wonder. My favorite thing to do with students too. I also wonder what we did so well to get reclassifications. That's like nearly double the growth. Can you just maybe give us the highlights, like some of the things that you think worked well to get us there?
There's so many things I can say, but I really think it comes down to English learners are on Everybody Spring. So with that, everyone wants to support the student group, and it's really training students, parents, and teachers, and of course administrators on what they have to do to reclassify. And I think sometimes it's the transparency of that, right? So for AP, you tell a student, this is your goal to get a 4 or 5, but sometimes we do that for other things. But I really think it's attributed to that everyone is starting to know what it takes to reclassify an English learner. I mean, there's so much other things, but if I had to say one thing, it would be that. Learning that criteria and everybody being on the same page for that.
I would just add setting an expectation. You had 436 the year before, which was dismal. So to grow 100% was reasonable. This next year, we won't grow 100%, but we'll still have high expectation. It goes back down to the academic excellence and having the supports now that we can focus on academic supports over this last couple of years as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. somebody said at the conference I was at, somebody said something that really stuck with me. It was, ELs are not a problem to be solved. They're a gift for us. And it takes all of us to help them succeed in getting reclassified. So I hear you when you say it's all like it's on everybody's mind. So I guess that brings me to my next wonder. I wonder how we can take that same idea of getting it out in everyone's mind and helping our kids succeed in math and succeed in ELA, especially if math is our focus. How do we get everyone to help us and not just the math teachers? So that's a wonder. You don't have to answer that. It's just a wonder out loud. Brings me to UC Merced. This was my other question. The UC Merced, the MAP program. I thought it was interesting also Gregory was down, but I had a question. When do students and parents hear about this program when students are in like junior high, high school, 10th grade? Like when do they hear about it? Is it just when they're seniors? Like what's going on?
So this program is fairly new. So this is our second year in implementation, and usually there's a process in the spring where there's a blitz out, not only by our parent square and everything, but it's based on eligibility. So students that are meeting their current criteria in the spring of their junior year have the opportunity. They receive phone calls directly from UC Merced, as well as phone calls from my office to say that they're eligible to apply. And then there's boots on the ground at the sites with promoting the program as well. So those are kind of the three-phase pieces. It's not really promoted as far as contact directly to every family. It's those that are near eligibility or those that are meeting the requirements for UC in the spring of their junior year.
Okay, because I wonder if we might get more as we move forward, which is a great program that was set up, by the way. That was wonderful to work with UC Merced. But I wonder if we can get more students, if this was explained to and brought to parents earlier, because in the 11th grade, if you don't meet those requirements in 10th grade, you're out of luck. Like 10th grade and 11th grade is really when you, like, those are the grades that matter for UC acceptance to be eligible. Those A through G requirements really start in your freshman year, but really ramp up your sophomore year. You have to make your sophomore year count. And if we're waiting until a junior year, then we lose out. So I wonder if we can really get parents and students to let them know that this program exists early on, because that might inspire some kids to really like go after it early on in their sophomore years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes. So first off, when in regards to reclassification, when we have the population that we have of English learner, I've seen this in my work and throughout other districts that have been doing great work. It's shifting that mindset of it's a department. It's a department response. It's a district response. When our community looks the way that they do, this is not a department address. This is a district address. So I appreciate that that work that y'all been doing. Second, just want to always shout out my alma mater, UC Merced. I love the admissions programs. I didn't do it from high school, but I did it from JC, through the MAP program, and that's how I was able to sneak my way into UC Merced. One question I did have is on the college and career. I'm guessing, but it's not on here. When we talk about percent prepared, we're talking about A through G, correct?
There's a number of factors, indicators, not only A through G completion, but whether a student took a college course, completed a CT capstone, and there's other factors like a combination of met or exceeds on the CASP. So really, it's there are multiple measures to determine if a student's prepared for post-secondary or for careers. So there's multiple measures. A through G is one of them.
Great.
Yeah.
The other part, in regards to it specifically through A through G, it was asked of me a couple weeks ago. What is the difference? Like, let's say you're general ed, you have X amount of coursework. What is the difference between X amount general ed coursework to A through G? How many more classes am I taking? And I think that it's important when we're talking of our 7 through 8, where we're really making an emphasis on A through G, of why do A through G. I think it's important that you make that distinction, but I don't know that number. What does that look like?
Our current courses that we offer, and I'll let Mr. Rich talk a little bit about this too, but our current courses that we offer, when we four-year plan, they are majority A through G courses, so core courses, but I don't.
So it's not that they have to take more courses, it's that they have to make sure that they're passing their courses with a C or higher. Almost every one of our courses is an A through G approved course to begin with. So A through G means in the A category, social science, B category, English, C, math, and so on, they have to have the right number of past courses in those. So almost every single course we offer our kids is an A through G eligible course, whether it be in the core, the world language, or in the elective. The issue is, are they passing them with a C or higher? And then are they making some decisions at the top end? Do they have, enough years of world language? Are they choosing to do an extra year of math or science? So those are some other decisions to make. But generally speaking, our graduation requirements are pretty close and in line with the A through G requirements.
Got it. So that's the point I was getting to. It's like one extra math class, one extra year of foreign language that really can make that difference, correct?
Yeah, so our graduation requirements is 3 years of math, which is what the UC is, but they encourage a 4th year of math, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, something that I would add to that, all of you can help. We started something called School Links. You've had a presentation on it, and you saw that all of our 9th through 12th completed School Links. What is that? That's a program where students are putting in their classes, they're putting in their grades, and it'll tell you if you're on track or not. And parents have access to that also. This year, we're starting in 7th and 8th, so by the end of this year, 7th through 12th grade, we'll have that, and it'll be ongoing every year. So if you're engaged with a parent and they're asking about A through G, or they're asking about graduation requirements, say, hey, have you looked at School Links? Everyone's required to have it. So that's a way that we can get our parents engaged in that decision-making also.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Trustee Marks.
Thank you. This was a great report. I also, as Trustee Maestas, was surprised at the Grigori dip, and I've heard Ms. Kuykendall talk about it at back to school night, and she does a fabulous job of telling the students of what's available and how much it costs and how you can save money and just everything. So I was really surprised that it went from 25 down to, I think, 9. So anyway, just have to figure out what happened there and why. And then I was really impressed with the graduation rates for the African American students, that we increased that 6.7%. That was, but yay, almost to our average. It was 89.9 and we're like 91.1. So making some progress there. So that was good. And the decrease in discipline highlights that were shared about the African American students, and the huge increase, 17% in their AP test taking. So all of those were really good bonus points in where we're headed and how we're meeting some of the needs of our African American students. I know we still have a long ways to go, but we're making some progress. So I had just a question on, or when we get this report again, to see on the CASP, I loved seeing that we made increases in the test scores and how much those increases were, but I don't have anything to compare them with. I don't know if we went up from 10% to 20%, or if we went from 50% to 60%. So I just like to see where we are in that line. And then I know some schools did quite make progress. So what are we doing to support those schools, and how are we helping them to meet those needs in their CASP test scores? So that's just what I'd like to see in the future. So I guess I would have liked to have known why Grigori went down, but anyway, I don't know if anybody knows. Do we know why? We don't. Okay, I didn't think so, but, all right, thank you.
Trustee Mejia?
Yeah, I was like writing notes, but I'm just notes of happiness, I guess, right here. I'm liking a lot of the stuff. So I'll make some comments. I agree with a lot of the comments that have been said by other board members. But I do, like always, I'm an English learner. I tell people, I keep learning English. It's a language you keep learning, and your life will continue that journey. And having said that, it is very important to recognize generations of when students arrive, and it takes time to get them there. And we need to know as a district that you guys are doing an incredible job, but knowing sometimes people don't understand, like, a student arrives right now, of course he's not gonna test good and he's not gonna show like great numbers next year. So it's very important for us to understand there's generations. And I'm seeing the great work of the whole district to do that, and thank the teachers for doing that, because it does take, and then some schools have a lot more English learners than other schools. That also something to take into consideration. So I want to make that comment, just because sometimes we just look at numbers without really looking at context. And well, these are human beings that arrive with hopes and dreams and are doing lots of strides, but their brains can only take them so far in one academic year. So we just got to acknowledge that, and hands out to all the teachers and all the support staff. So anyways, that was in my soapbox a little bit. But going back, attendance, I know attendance, if attendance is there, the grades will usually follow after that. And I'm all over the place. I was just so happy to see math grow. I made a bunch of notes, but I just wanted to compliment all the hard work of all the teams putting it together. But just seeing the clarification numbers, the stay by literacy, I think that's going to continue to increase every year as students understand what that means and why that's so important. I like to see my alma mater looking at some great stuff. I just get all excited when I see like Mark Twain doing stuff on improvement in discipline. So I'm just mostly just doing comments. I don't have lots of questions. I have lots of comments because I do agree with some of the questions that have been said by other board members. And yeah, thank you to all the team. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Trustee Brown?
Yes, I go back to the celebrations, and I appreciate that that was included. It caused me to look for Elliott as we were going through each of these categories. And I was really excited to see attendance improvement at Elliott. So when we look at Elliott, we look at it differently than we ever have before. We see opportunity for students that have maybe been forgotten. And I'm wondering, we're looking primarily here at the achievements of the students at comprehensive high schools with a 4-year program. At Elliott, we don't have that continual 4-year program, but what are some measures that parallel what we're looking at here that would show us that we're improving and that we have academic gains from year to year at Elliott when we're also looking at all these other things that are happening at the other schools? Are there some parallel measures that we can build into this so that we can see how we can improve and how we can help? I know we're giving our kids college opportunities at Elliott, but are we acknowledging that with what we're saying here? I know that we are giving them comprehensive opportunities to learn in the basic things of reading and math, but are we, and that we're seeing great numbers of students graduating. Are we seeing growth? Can we measure it somehow? And help show that same growth and excellence at Elliott. I just love to see what we're doing there, but I need to hear what kind of growth is happening.
Well, growth is measured at Elliott similarly to other schools. We have a graduation rate. We're tracking dropout rates. We're looking at CAST data specific to Elliott. We're looking at the college and career indicators. Elliott is not removed from those expectations. It just looks differently in how we get there. So I guess fundamentally, we have the same measures. We're looking at the same things. It's just in a different model. It's in an alternative school setting. So is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, well, I'm wondering how we can see growth from year to year. It'll look different than it does on these charts.
I would say as an example, in creating college and career-ready graduates from Elliott, we offer dual enrollment programs through Modesto Junior College. That is one way or one model that we use to support Elliott students in demonstrating college and career readiness. But we can get you more information and kind of outline all of the different things that we're doing there that would align with that.
You know, actually, we can do a board report on there. Elliot, there's really a lot of really exciting work that's happening there. We're doing a lot of construction there, building new CTE pathways focused on solar repair and installation, along with the construction trades, all of which go to career pathways. And so that's a measure just like any high school as far as college and career. So in the springtime, once those become more solidified, and we already have them in the queue, we can provide a report in the spring to outline that for you.
I'm realizing that one of the difficulties there is that we don't have the history of the same program. So we're implementing a whole bunch of new stuff that can't be compared with previous years. So I'm just always watching to see what we're doing and how we're enhancing the opportunities for the Elliott students.
Board Trustee, Student Trustee Gupta.
First of all, thank you everyone for giving such an amazing presentation. So I had a question regarding the suspension rates. So I noticed that all the suspension rates have like overall decreased, but I was wondering, what are some of the strategies that you guys use to make that change? Like what support surfaces, like specifically where it was implemented?
So I think the biggest thing that you'll see is a focus on restorative practices type interventions in lieu of student removal from school, providing those children an opportunity to remediate the behavior, to meet with somebody so that they can discuss it and see the negative impact on other students in lieu of at-home suspension.
Yeah. Thank you. And I have a few things. One, again, great report, great data, great data. First question is could we get the UC Merced, the MAP program breakdown by student group, if possible? Again, our graduation rates, which are broken down by student groups, are very impressive, especially for Black students. I mean, like I said, I worked 14 and a half years with the district. I don't think I've ever seen graduation rates that high for Black students. Again, with the dropouts, we're always on the disproportionate side of the dropout rate. And now the disparity has closed significantly. Also, with the advanced placement, again, really, great gains for African-American students. I don't remember ever in my years in the district it being that high. So these are very great milestones there. Also, I would like to see the attendance data by student group, if that's possible as well, because I know it seems to be an ongoing issue. And talking with several parents recently, about attendance. And yeah, just those information by, and also the career and the college and career percent prepared by student group. It'd just be, good to track that data there. But again, some great work here. There's no disputing that. The facts are the facts. So, again, thank you. Thank you all for all the great work you're doing out there in our schools and in our community. That's all I have. So, B7, report on Modesto City Schools character education. Mr. Tony Lomalee.
Too high for me right there. Good evening, Board President Irvin, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, Cabinet, and members of the public. My name is Tony Lomalee, Senior Director, Student Support Services, and I'm here to provide a report on Modesto City Schools character education. The purpose of this presentation is to review the long history of Modesto City Schools character trait education along with current efforts taking place at both elementary, secondary, and at our district level. We will review character trait recognition opportunities at both the district and site levels, as well as next steps in our efforts. Again, we have character education embedded directly into our vision statement, not only with skills and knowledge, but also ensuring that our students have the character traits essential to thrive and contribute in society. Not only in our vision do we mention character traits, but we also do it in our goals. Goal 2.3 ensures that we provide opportunities for our staff to be trained to support students in the development of character traits in our district. Our district adopted the character traits over 26 years ago, and to this day there's been a commitment in and outside the classroom at all levels in our school district. In addition, there's an effort to recognize students and staff that exemplify these traits in our school district. Listed here are the character traits that are recognized across the district and are supported by our board to be key attributes in ensuring that every student has a foundation to thrive and contribute in their schools and communities. As you look around the room, you see them all. So you look left, right, and you could tell that it is a focus of our district and of our board. At the elementary school level, there are monthly lessons taught by our prep provider teachers that do a great job to guide our students to learn not only about the character traits, but to define each trait, learn examples, non-examples, and how the traits connect to not only supporting their schools, but supporting their families and their community. In addition, monthly recognition assemblies take place at sites that not only recognize students for academic achievement, which you saw earlier, all the great academic achievement accolades, but also those that exhibit those character traits of the months, including opportunities for students and teachers to lead demonstrations or lessons during these recognitions at school site, where parents have the opportunity to not only attend, but encourage and celebrate with their students. In addition, sites advertise what the character trait of the month is being recognized and how a parent can be involved in those traits each month, whether it's through a newsletter or other types of communication. There are also an increased effort to ensure that there is clear connection to efforts taking place in PBIS, our positive behavior intervention supports, within each school. At both the middle and high school, there continues to be focuses either monthly or throughout the year on supporting students through recognition of character traits, through their special recognition awards and lessons delivered at times by counselors. Administrators recognize students who exhibit character traits when nominated by staff during announcements when applicable. Again, just like elementary, there's a growing effort to align the character traits to work being done in PBIS to ensure that students are given the skills and traits needed to thrive. In addition, our intervention centers make a concerted effort to infuse the character traits in supporting students they interact with when they come in contact with them. There are also, again, opportunities not only for managers like myself and others within each school day to utilize teachable moments to provide reminders to students on how character traits can make them successful in and out of the classroom. At the district level, we feature one character trait each month through our hashtag Find Your Shine campaign. This includes a downloadable poster and posters that will be distributed across our district over the next few weeks. There are also monthly board recognition opportunities to support those who exhibit the character traits like demonstrated earlier today, along with culminating events like the Eddies Awards, in which each school nominates 2 students who have demonstrated the traits and show to possess the skills needed to thrive and support our community. And like earlier, some of them tend to demonstrate more than one character trait, right? A lot of these students, when recognized, demonstrate not only 1, but 2, 3, and 4, and 5 at those times. In addition, we also have the opportunities for students to participate in the Tournament of Talent. And in this event, there's opportunities to show the character traits demonstrated between acts to demonstrate our values as a district and our vision to support the character traits so students can thrive. Sorry, I was behind. I went the wrong way. Let me get, all right. All right, important next steps for character education in Modesto schools is to continue to expand teaching opportunities and promote tiered interventions, MTSS, at the secondary level. Utilize our out-of-school time, which is crucial time, before and after-school programs, summer programs, to support the character traits and provide additional lessons and enrichment, and continue to involve parents in all these opportunities. In addition, we want to continue to promote our Be the Change campaign and ensure all students have a voice in our district, along to continue to promote our MCS character traits to ensure all students have the traits and skills needed to thrive and contribute in society and have a voice in that contribution. As a reminder, the Be the Change is the campaign that was first presented by Mr. Patterson at the last meeting. And really it was designed to take the lead in making our schools a better place for all students. Mr. Patterson presented an African American Success Plan, and this plan will help to make a better place for all students, including eliminating the use of slurs, profanity, and promoting anti-bullying for all students to have a safe place to thrive within our district. At this time, I will turn it back over to President Irvin.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Lomelli. Are there any comments from the public? Are there any questions and comments from the board? Student Trustee Dagger.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I kind of wanted to comment on the Tournament of Talent just because I went there last year and it was really, really cool just to like see people performing. It was especially cool, I think, to see how popular it was even among students who, you know, maybe aren't the type to necessarily like, you know, be very active and be involved in school activities. You know, I had a friend who I had no clue he was very musically talented until I actually like went there and saw him sing, and I was like, okay, I wish you told me that before. And I really do think this is the best kind of way to promote those kind of character traits. It's like, you can only go so far with explicit lessons, you know, like students sitting in a classroom and like looking at a board and watch their teachers explain positive character traits. You can only go so far with that. And I think it's a lot more effective to kind of have these natural opportunities where, you know, just by their nature, you're forced to use those character traits, right? To even go up there and start singing, you have to have courage, right? You have to take initiative. And so I really do think that's the best kind of way to implement or like, you know, promote the formation of these character traits in students. It's by having them come about as a natural consequence of the opportunities that we provide as an educational body. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Trustee Marks.
Thank you so much. Well, I came into the district right after all of this had taken place, and they had already decided they had, I think, 11 or 12, and the superintendent at the time wanted to make it 9 because there's 9 months of school education so they could focus on 1 a month. So that was kind of cool. And I just, as I've watched it change over time, it's been, you know, good. And we lost, you know, we had a character education director over all the schools that used to promote it at all the schools. So that was interesting. We worked with her in certain committees, and I think she was on the Dr. Parker committee for a while. But just to go key off of what Trustee Gupta just said, I know there's a teacher at Tuolumne that wrote a song and made it incorporate all of the character traits in a song for the students to learn, and then they'd sing it at their school assemblies and everything. So all the children learned the song, so that was kind of cool too. But I just wanted to thank you for, you know, including the parents. I know when they did this in the community with character traits, and the community came up with the 9 character traits and said, these are ones we all value and we all care about. And they said that this is what we want to do. We want to support the parents in what they are also concerned about. So it wasn't the school is teaching this, but not the parents. It was us and the parents together. So I love that we're still doing that. And just hearing all of this, because sometimes I'm like, are we still doing this other than the, you know, recognition here? Because I see that every month. And then I go to the Eddies, which are fabulous, and love to see the students there and the parents come in and just how proud they are of their students when we celebrate them. And I like that you told us that it's aligned with PBIS. I didn't realize that, but I think that's a perfect melding together, and the intervention centers are using it. So let me see. And how you're gonna do it each month, we're going back to that. So that's kind of cool that we're gonna align it with all the schools every month, is that correct? And we're each gonna.
That is the goal, along with the
Okay.
distribution of the new design that
Yeah.
Ms. Sharakida's team came up with, so we're
That's
excited
awesome.
about that.
I think that's awesome. Thank you. And I think because I see them sometimes, when I drive by the schools, I see them on the kiosk. Hey, this is the character trait this month. And so I thought that was really neat. And your Be the Change campaign to promote it. I think that's great. This is the first, I didn't know about the Be the Change campaign, but I love it. I heard about it tonight. Maybe I just missed it somehow and something I wasn't paying attention to, but I loved hearing about it again and again tonight. So thank you so much, and how we're working on that. So this was a great report. I really just had comments. I didn't have any questions, but I appreciate it.
Student trustee Gupta.
Hello. So similar to Ahmad, I also went to the Tournament of Talent last year, and I wasn't in the audience. I actually performed. So I clearly remember seeing President Irvin in the front row while I was very embarrassed to playing my flute. But yeah, so I really do agree that
Great job.
I really do agree that programs like the Tournament of Talent are a really effective way for students to really display these 9 characteristics. Another thing I would like to point out about the Tournament of Talent is I really liked how in between every act they had like ASB from different schools perform skits for each character trait, and I really think acting out the trait and making it funny is more effective than just lecturing about it, because I think it helps students retain the trait more. Like the fact that I still remember those little like tiny skits like speaks a lot. And then another program that I know Grigori High School has for these character traits is the JAG Award. So every teacher, they like pick a student who they think demonstrated these 9 characteristics the best, and then they give them an award at the end of the year. And I also think that's a really good like mechanism for promoting these characteristics. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Vice President Maestas.
Yeah, I just want to say my kids have gotten character trait awards at their schools. So if they're watching right now, which they're probably not ever going to watch, I just wanted to get that on the record. Man, I feel like I'm going to rock the boat here. So I'm sorry about that. Sort of. Sorry, not sorry, I guess. When were these character traits, can you give me a little history? When were these character traits selected? I mean, she gave me a little bit of that, but when?
I'll leave it to those that were here 26 years ago.
26 years ago.
Right.
Have they ever been updated, thought about, discussed recently? Okay, so that's my question. Is there opportunities to think about if, times change? Character traits obviously not always change, right? But our world is different. One word that came to mind that's not on here for me is empathy. And I know that's something that's come about in the last, well, it's always been around, but I think it's really been highlighted the last 10 years. So I wonder, notice and wonder, I wonder when we can have a discussion about these character traits and if, not that they should change, but is anything missing or reworded in a couple of them? Sorry, there was like a silence. That's my thought. I don't know where you're going to go with that, but I'm wondering if at some point they can be discussed.
Yeah, they are institutionalized, so that's why they'll hold quiet.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah, I know, that's
agree
why I
with
say
you.
rock the
agree.
boat, right?
Yeah, I agree though. It's always a good idea to, especially something that's been around that long, to just go back and reflect and, and see if they're appropriate for our kids today. You know, that's almost a generation, you
Yeah.
know, that they've been in, been in place. You know, there are some that are gonna stand the test of time, but there's others that need to be adjusted.
Yeah, I mean, if you're keeping 9, I love compassion, but I wonder if empathy can be, like, that's a place where I could see empathy fitting rather than compassion. So, just a thought. I would love to explore that more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Again, it's really great report and great input.
Thank you, Irvin.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and we reconvene in 5 minutes. You know what? I just decided that I'm gonna skip all the way to G2. No. Just kidding. B8. Approval of Modesto City Schools and California School Employees Association Collective Bargaining Agreement for the 2023-24 addendum and 2024 and 2025 school years. Associate Superintendent Mike Henderson.
Good evening, Board President Irvin, trustees, Dr. Noguchi, cabinet members. It was appropriate that the last item included conversation about empathy. That's usually what I feel when it comes to my turn at the end of the board meeting. Do my items. It's late in the evening, but let's get it done. It's my pleasure to bring forward for your consideration and approval the tentative agreement between Modesto City Schools District and California School Employees Association, CSEA, and its Chapter 007 reflecting the final compensation adjustment, serving as the addendum to the 23-24 settlement agreement and agreement for the 24-25 school year. The board may recall that the district settled with CSEA in June 2023, which occurred prior to settlements with the other employee groups. First time CSEA was out front, by the way. Congratulations, CSEA in the crowd. That settlement included a provision that required the reopening of the salary and health and welfare articles if the district subsequently reached the final ratified agreement with any other group of district employees, being MTA or MCS managers, which provided for an across-the-board ongoing total compensation increase that was greater than that negotiated with CSEA. This provision, commonly referred to as a Me Too clause, was enacted following the final settlement agreement with MTA in June 2024. As a result, the district and CSEA engaged in negotiation of the reopened articles and were able to reach a tentative agreement after one session on September 5th, 2024. That tentative agreement is what the board's being asked to approve this evening. And the agreement includes point one, the first point, that is, step 1213 advancement. And what that means is this applies and funds the advancement of salary placements of classified employees to the respective placements within step 12 on the salary schedule, corresponding to the number of years those employees have been on step 12, including advancing to step 13, the employees who've been on step 12 for a designated period of time. The result accelerates the rate at which classified employees who've been in service with the district for many years, including recent retirees, advance to step 13 salary placement. Next point is salary, 1.70% ongoing increase to this classified salary schedule retroactive to July 1, 2023. And the third point is a win-win, a 2-year agreement covering the 23-24 addendum, as was noted, and completing negotiations for the 24-25 school year. CSEA will vote for membership ratification of the agreement at an upcoming meeting very soon. The agreement is consistent with our district goals, and the fiscal impact is stated as is stated in the board item. Per the recommendation as stated in the agenda item, it's recommended that the board approve the MCS and CSEA collective bargaining agreement for the 2023-24 addendum and 24-25 school years. Back to you, President Irvin.
Thank you, Associate Superintendent Mike Henderson. So are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? President Peterson.
Does that mean I don't have to introduce myself this time?
That's correct.
All right. CSEA is encouraging the board to approve this tentative agreement. It is pending ratification by our membership. We came to an agreement in that one day, but we had to, it has to go through the 610 process with the CSEA field office, and that just makes sure that we don't give away any of our rights in our enthusiasm for reaching an agreement. And so we're still waiting for that approval. as soon as we receive that approval, we'll have an informational meeting with our members and give them the opportunity to vote on that tentative agreement. We're hoping that our members sign it and are encouraging them to do so. And at that point, then we'd be able to make it official between both parties, I assume, once we get ratified by our membership. Once again, I encourage you to approve that tentative agreement. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from members of the board? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to approve? Been moved by Trustee Brown and second by Trustee Daly. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Okay, moving to B9. Approval of amendment to cabinet salary schedule effective July 1st, 2023, health and welfare benefits effective January 2025, and other terms and conditions of employment. Associate Superintendent Mike Henderson, again.
Thank you, sir. Trustees, consistent with the last item, item B9 brings forward for the board's approval an amendment to the cabinet salary schedule previously established by the board, as well as an increase to the district's contribution for health and welfare benefits and other terms and conditions of employment. As with the last item, the board approved the application of salary and other terms to the cabinet salary schedule back in September 2023. And following the final settlement with MTA in June 2024, the board has approved the subsequent addendum agreements per the Me Too provision for MCS managers at the last board meeting and just moments ago for CSCA. This action being asked tonight maintains consistency and comparable compensation structures for each of the district's employee groups respectively. The amendment effective July 1, 2023, except for health and welfare, which becomes effective January 1, 2025, reflects the following terms. For salary, 1.25% ongoing increase to the cabinet salary schedule effective July 1, 2023. Continued commitment to the district's professional development initiative, consistent with that provided to other management employees. Increase of $150 per month in district contribution for health and welfare for those employees seeking medical plans effective January 1, 2025. The fiscal impact of the amendment is as noted in the agenda item and per the recommendation as stated in the agenda. It's recommended that the board approve the amendment to the cabinet salary schedule effective July 1, 2023, health and welfare benefits effective January 1, 2025, and other terms and conditions of employment as noted. Back to you, President Irvin.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? Seeing none. Are there any comments or questions from the board on this agenda item? Do I hear a motion to approve? Then motion by Trustee Daly. Seconded by Trustee Marks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. B10, approval of resolution number 24/25-08, authorizing assignment of teachers outside of credentialed area in accordance with the Education Code 44258.7 for the 2024-2025 school year. No need to mention the name again, but Superintendent Mike Henderson.
All right, we're on a roll. It's where perseverance comes in. Item B10 recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the assignment of teachers outside the credential academic major or minor. Most often, we present this resolution for certificated staff who are credentialed in another area other than physical education to allow them to coach one period of athletics for which students receive PE credit. Occasionally, we do for other circumstances, but in this case, it is for the purpose of authorizing the coaching assignment. It's been determined that these individuals qualify under the authorization granted through this resolution, and we recommend the board approve this item.
Are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the board on this agenda item? Do I have a motion? Then probably moved by Trustee Brown, second. Seconded by Trustee Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. B11, approval of resolution number 24/25-13, authorizing assignment of licensed certificated personnel in accordance with the Education Code 448.3.1 for the 2024-2025 school year. I'm just going to say ditto.
All right. Thank you, Board President Irvin. B11 is a credentialing item as required by the CTC, specifically requesting approval to authorize the assignment of one certificated employee in the area of speech-language pathology. This individual holds a speech-language pathology license and provides services consistent with their licensing. However, this approval is needed to authorize the services in the assignment while they complete work related to the issuance of other intern credentials. We recommend that the board approve this item.
Are there any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, do I hear a motion? Been moved by Trustee Marks, second by Vice President Maestas. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. B12, approval of resolution number 24/25-19, authorizing assignment of teachers outside of credential academic area in accordance with the Education Code 44-263, 44-256, and 44-258.2 for the 2024-25 school year. Ditto.
All right, thank you, President Irvin. Trustees, I noticed that this is not the last item tonight, isn't it? There's one more item coming after this, so
Yes, sir.
let's get through it. Item B12 recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the assignment of teachers outside their credential academic major or minor. We present this resolution for certificated staff who are credentialed in one area but assigned a course in an area for which they are not credentialed. In this case, it addresses two instances for teachers credentialed in English to teach a different specialized course for which they have sufficient units in their transcripts to qualify them for the assignments. It's been determined these individuals qualify under the authorization that's granted. Through this resolution, we recommend the board approve this item.
Are there any comments from the public? Seeing none. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Marks.
Just real quick, so this is like the opposite. So they're credentialed in the physical education area, two of them are, and they're going to teach English.
Opposite. They're credentialed
Yeah.
in English, but they're teaching a physical education.
Oh, but that's how the other one was.
The other one is they're credentialed in another area. That one just allows them to be authorized NP for the purpose of assigning a grade in a sport. They're coaching.
Okay.
This is teaching a physical education class as part of their schedule.
Oh, okay, so
Little
they're not
different, we're
coaching.
splitting them out.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, thank you. I was like, wait, how come this was, okay.
Little
Thank
different,
you.
yeah.
Little different.
Do I hear a motion for approval? Been moved by Vice President Maestas, and second by Trustee Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Takes us to, thank you, sir. That takes us to B13, which was taken out of C9. C9. Yeah. Approval of resolution 24/25-18 in favor of California Proposition 2, Public School Facilities Bond Measure. So, any comments from the public?
Good evening, Brett Wagner. I'm a Modesto Teachers Association and a parent. So I'm going to address on behalf of that. Thank you, President Irvin and the board, Dr. Noguchi and cabinet. I just want to read from the California Legislature's Nonpartisan Fiscal and Policy Advisor website, Legislative Analyst's Office, which is nonpartisan. This part here, scrolling down, kind of picking through some things that I think you should hear. Proposition 2 allows school districts to receive extra renovation funding to build new classroom or renovate an existing classroom that would be used for transitional kindergarten, which we have a huge need at many schools. Beginning with the 2025-26 school year, all 4-year-olds will be eligible for the year of transitional kindergarten before entering kindergarten. In certain cases, school districts could also receive extra renovation funding to expand or build a new gymnasium, multipurpose room, library, or school kitchen. Obviously, with Measure X coming forward, we have lots of instances where there are still some schools that have not had those renovations or don't have those multipurpose rooms, as was alluded to with the new one at
Vista.
I was going to say Elliott. We've been hearing that a lot today. Obviously, the fiscal effects are important, but I think that this is right up the alley of what we're trying to do to renovate and update our schools. So I'd encourage that we approve this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Daly.
So I am the one who requested that the item be moved. And the reason for that, my understanding is that this is a match bond for bond. Bonds are based on the property tax in a certain area. So Modesto City Schools elementary school bond, Bond X, all of the houses in that area will then pay the bond based on the property value. I do not see this as the appropriate way for the state to move through this because it is not equitable, in my opinion, which is why I will not vote to approve this. We have areas, even in Stanislaus County, where the values of homes are significantly lower than in others. So, for example, one school district, not ours, so one school district may not necessarily get a high enough bond or a higher bond as another school district might get. Therefore, the matching this bond, one school district is going to get less. And that's probably the school district that needs it more than the other. So I see this is a great program. I think it's great that the state is stepping up to do this. However, the way that it's set out, I don't agree with.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, is there a motion?
So, I just want to ask a question. Mr. Turley, is that accurate? Is in the bond program for the state when there's matching funds, because I recognize the state bond, it's not additional taxes. It's coming from the general fund, so there's no cost for the bond, for the state bond. Is the bond that's given, is it equal from district to district, or are high needs given a higher percentage than other districts?
So theoretically, I mean, there's no advantage given to the socioeconomic status of the community. However, the district, like us, has to have matching funds in order to be eligible to receive state bond money when it's available. And so currently we have some projects funded with Measures D and E, some upcoming projects funded with Measure L at the high school level that we have submitted for reimbursement. We are on what's called an unfunded list.
The state has right now about $3 billion of unfunded, meaning that they've approved the projects, but they don't have the dollars to fund those. And so with Proposition 2, our unfunded projects then would receive funding, as was stated earlier, and so we would be able to extend our bond programs by being reimbursed for a portion, not 50%, probably about 40% of the projects we have already approved. So yes, it is inequitable because it favors the districts that have local bond money, but those local voters put up, they voted to put up their local property taxes so school districts could, like us, could see facility improvements. And we, even back to Measures D&E, we told the voters if or when the state bond money became available, we would utilize that to extend our bond program as needed. So, but it's a tough question to answer.
Trustee Brown.
I'm going to ask Mr. Zerley to back me up on the statement that I'm going to make. I believe there is a portion of that money that is set aside for small districts. And those would be those that you characterize as not being able to raise the kind of bond money that we've been able to hear. Is that correct?
I don't have the proposition in front of me, but even if there is dollars set aside for small school districts, which we are not, that small school district still needs matching funds, whether that's local bond money, that's local general fund money, that's deferred maintenance money, whatever that is, they would still need local money in order to access the state. If they're not hardship, meaning they don't have enough facilities to house their students. But there has to be a match somehow, no matter what the size of the district is.
But there is a set aside for those small districts.
Okay. Trustee Daly.
I'm not disputing the fact that this is a good program for MCS. MCS is one of those school districts that's going to be advantaged in this because we already have these bonds going. And so that's another area where it's inequitable. And it's not about voting. This is a more of a stance of overall throughout the state of California where I'm standing. And it has nothing to do with the fact that, yes, it would be extremely positive for MCS and all of those other schools that do really well at creating the bonds, which makes it further inequitable for the other districts.
The only comment I would have, and that is correct, but our district went 2 decades by being one of those districts that did not have matching funds, which is why we have projects on the unfunded list. We weren't eligible to complete those projects at the time. There was state bond money, and so yes, that point is correct. And we were one of those districts prior to Measures D&E and Measure L.
Okay. Vice President Maestas.
Thank you. I totally respect your view on this, Trustee Daly, and I appreciate that. I am just going to say, this is good for the kids in Modesto, and I would encourage other districts, and not that they watch, but I would encourage other districts to really, and the citizens of those places, to think about how they can help and support their students in their communities. Just anecdotally, I know that there are some districts out there that put up bonds, and their citizens don't vote for the bonds, and they have dilapidated schools. They have schools that aren't, they're not attracting teachers, and then the community wonders why it's so hard to keep those up. So it really is an opportunity for our citizens to support our schools, even if they don't have kids in our schools. I really would hope that they support. So, yeah, I encourage other districts to do that, because we've been waiting. Modesto's been waiting we were left out for a while. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, with that being said, do I hear a motion to approve Been moved by trustee Mejia. Been seconded by trustee Brown. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Nay. Any abstentions? The motion carries 6-1. Item G2, items to be placed on future Board of Education agendas. Does anyone have any items for future board agenda? Seeing none, I entertain a motion. No, just kidding. Moved by trustee Mejia. Seconded? I'll second. Seconded by trustee Marks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.